All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what's going on? Good to see you. Welcome to the show. Hello. I'm Rage Mage. This is the Rage Nation. We're here hanging out. We're going to play some games, but not the kind of games you're used to. That's right. This is a tabletop RPG done over the Roll20.net application. It's awesome. Check it out. If you've never done it, you should. If you like role-playing, if you like tabletops, if you like D&D or Fate or whatever, fucking Shadowrun, it's all there, man. It's all there. Give it a shot. Roll20 is amazing. Check it out. This particular story, you may have heard of it. I know, we're kind of a big deal. Yeah, we're amazing. This particular story is run by a man by the name of Glasswalker Mars, or James Marston. Great guy, awesome dude, and amazing genius level storyteller. Check out his stuff. He's amazing. The fellow players: Saren, Aaron, Nathaniel. He goes by Nate, but if you ever see him in channel, you should call him Nathaniel because he loves it. And myself. That's 4 people. It's a lot of fun. It's a great story. You should guys check it out. I apologize for this crappy intro. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't even know if I have clothes on. What day is it? What's going on? How are you guys tonight? Vigorous Solid, good to see you. X-Girl, what's going on? Cheers. Salutations. I think someone might have slipped a little bit of whiskey in my Pepsi. I'm gonna go ahead and blame James for that. That's gonna be his fault. I know that you can see through my shirt, and that's weird, but that's because there's weird camera settings and everything is fucky right now. So just ignore this. We're
Whiskey. We want the whiskey, precious. We want it. Give it to us.
Sorry. Yeah, so the story so far is long and complicated, but very cool. Those stories are on the YouTube channel. I recommend checking them out. There is a playlist, which I can get to you guys if you need it. Other than that, I think we're just about ready to go, and everyone's kind of waiting on us, so, yeah. As a note, guys, tomorrow I'm going to be streaming, and I believe I'm going to be able to finish Hellblade tomorrow, which, by the way, if you've never played that game, you should play that game as well. It is gorgeous. It is gorgeous on many levels. Audio, video, psychological, storytelling. It's just a beautiful game all around. If you've not played Hellblade, I recommend picking it up. It's like $30. It's well worth the $30. Definitely check it out. Very, very cool. That said, I think we're just going to jump into this thing. We're going to make this happen. Thank you all for coming to hang out tonight. I hope that you guys have a good time. One thing before we go, I do want to mention, I will not be able to interact with chat like I normally do. I will, however, be watching chat, and I will type as I can when I'm not fully engaged in the story. The reason this is different is because I really need to pay attention to the story that's going on and all of the things that are happening. So I'll do my best to keep track of everything going on in chat. Hopefully you guys can either entertain yourselves or, obviously, if you want to comment on things that are happening in the channel with the story, do it, please. I believe that James watches the chat as well, and may in fact take tips and hints from you guys. He receives that feedback, and he can just make the story happen all over the place. He's amazing, dude. He's amazing. Dude and dudes and dudettes and anything beyond, above, between, below, around, whatever. It doesn't matter. Ugh, what am I even saying? Anyway, guys, let's just do this thing. Let's make it happen. Alright, guys. Here we go. Alright, guys. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
We're gonna make this go. Alright, James, I've done my intros. You guys are up. Make it happen.
Awesome. All right. Hi, everybody. My name's James. I'll be running Fate of the Exocortex tonight. I do this sort of intro thing every time, and I'm not sure it's necessary. So I'm going to skip ahead to where we are in the story. So our players are a group of sort of rebellious, anarchist-type people who have banded together because they were drawn into a complex plot to do something. They're not totally sure on what that was because there is a catastrophic memory failure, and now they're kind of picking up the pieces of that operation. Along the way, one of their members, a woman named Sigma, died. They managed to save some of the cyberware that is inside her head, and they're busily trying to kind of gather the resources and the technology necessary to try and bring her back in some way, while at the same time using their advanced cyberware and the information at their disposal to try and change the world. The game is a cyberpunk setting, so it's kind of a grimmer dystopian future where technology is advanced, but is still sort of something that the richest, most powerful people have, and something that the poorest people kind of suffer as a result of. And we were picking up after our team had found their old base of operations, the hub, and found that it is now defunct, and made a deal with the curators of the hub to try and get it back on its feet. And they had decided that one of their next steps was to try and seek out a skilled cybernetic neurosurgeon named Chaos Bleeds, because Lee has some information about the capabilities of their exocortexes to download personalities, and that's kind of a really advanced technology for the setting. And she's got most of it understood, but really feels like if she had a conversation with Chaos Bleeds, that she would understand the whole thing again. We also have a pending job coming up where Lee has reached out to a contact to try and find a temporary cybernetic body to put Sigma's personality into, and that's probably going to come up again today. I think we should probably introduce the characters. So let's start with J5.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm J5. How the fuck are you doing today? I'm a dude who works on the net doing stuff. You don't have to worry about the details of it. I'll take care of it. I'm your guy. We'll make it happen. Jax, you're up. Go.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Jax, formerly of Icarus Technologies, but now I'm working on my own. Pirate media reporter on the air live, if a little unofficially. Go for it, Lee.
I'm Lee Bansky, former augmented reality designer for the rich and have nothing better to do with themselves, and now I use it to fight the man.
Fight the man. Fuck that dude.
Nice. Sebastian?
Sebastian Chrome, a fixer, helper, and aware of many faces. And I do my best to get people where they need to be.
He's being humble, kids. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Nice. So we're going to pick up after you guys' decision to go and try and find Chaos Bleeds.
What a bad decision.
Really
Can I just
bad.
throw this out there right now that no good is going to come of any of this? Okay, let the record
Some
show.
good will come of it. The weight of the good versus the not good is yet to be seen, but some good will come out of it.
Cool. So what's your guys' plan and approach? How are you going to find where Chaos Bleeds is? How are you going to make that first contact?
Well, Lee, I think that's all you. She's your best friend, right?
Ball's in your court.
Oh, I can feel the dirty look from here.
We ran into her at the club the last time.
We should have run into her with the van.
Yeah, but we need her now. So it's a good thing we didn't.
I suppose.
So is the plan to go upstairs and ask around, or?
We also have this great thing called email.
We can always try and reach out to her. I mean, we obviously have connections to her. There's got to be some contact information in one of us somewhere.
All right. So the approach is going to be to try and just get a message to her?
you thought about where you'd like to meet, lady?
Somewhere public.
How about upstairs?
If that's private enough, sure.
I feel like it's a common place where people like us go. I feel like it's appropriate. And I don't think she knows that we have this little downstairs place here, so I think we'll be all right.
God.
I mean, she did all of our brain surgeries. That's our guess, right?
Yeah, that was my interpretation.
I kind of point over to the corner of the room. Like, are we assuming she did them there?
I
mean, upstairs is fine by me. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
So your recall of the events is very fuzzy, Lee, but you think there's a good chance that you did do the implants down here. So Chaos Fleets has probably been down here at least once.
Yeah, probably we did it down here. I don't imagine there's too many safe places we could have done something like that.
Sure. I mean, I'm all for keeping her out if that makes people more comfortable. And with the lights only half on, it's not its grandest look. But
I'm just saying that when we initially meet with her, that perhaps we should keep it public just in case she's not particularly keen to help this time around, especially considering she's asking for the last time we saw her.
So speaking of that,
Yeah.
what do you think she's going to ask for? I mean, I don't want to let her anywhere near Sigma's Exocortex.
No, she wants to sell the tech.
Right. But I imagine if it's clear we're asking for help, she's going to want to sell the tech or something in return.
Yeah, she's gonna double down on her price too.
Yeah, if you look at it this way, she's got the missing piece of a larger puzzle that we apparently have. So she's going to want the rest of that puzzle so that she can then turn around and sell that to people we probably don't want it sold to.
Right. So I guess my thought is, what are we willing to offer her? Since obviously seeing Sigma is not it. Speaking personally, I'm not super into having her open up my head again. And I don't think it's tech she should sell.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
Perhaps we could give her some equally tantalizing thing for her to play with. Some sort of colloquial riddle box or something like that. Something that was interesting but less dangerous than the technology.
Got one lying around?
I don't think so. Sebastian makes a show of looking through his desk.
If anyone would.
Yes. Oh dear. I'm not much for threatening people.
I wouldn't think that's the way to go.
No.
There's another thing we need to consider here. Like, we're already in a lot of debt financially as it is.
Working on that.
Yeah, I know. And you're awesome and I love you for it. But one of the things we need to think about is the number of debts that we continue to make over time. You know what I mean? Like we have to have a balance sheet. If that makes any sense. I'm not an accountant. That's not my gig, but it's something we need to look at.
So it's sounding like there's some conversation about what you're going to deal with her. Do you want to assume that while you guys are talking about that you're sending out messages to try and get in touch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So who's taking a point on that?
I will, since I was the last one to talk to her.
Okay. How are you going to phrase the message?
Can't stop thinking about you.
I got it. Are you ready? Here it is. All right. I love spiders. Roses are red and shit. Come on over. No
well,
good?
That may actually...
I'm sorry.
Listen, I've already got one crazy, ex running around after us. We don't need to add her. The other one's harmless.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I'll hit you with a bat. If you do anything that scares me.
I think you should have ended it after I'll hit you with a bat. That's it. End of poem.
Sold.
No. All right. So, well, Lee, I feel like, given our memory gaps, you've had the most interaction with her, so you probably know her the best. This is me obviously trying to shunt my responsibility.
That I happen to know the rat infestation better because one crawled across me while I was sleeping. Like,
exactly.
Not a nice thing.
I have an idea. Now, it's a bad idea, but it might not be the worst idea.
Already, it sounds like the best idea.
So we can't give her what she wants. And thus, we have nothing in particular she would want otherwise. But she has information we need. Am I reading this correctly? More or less?
I mean, we don't entirely know what she wants or even what we have, to be perfectly fair.
And what she has is more than information. It's a skill set, and we need her to do a thing.
Yeah, no, I see.
One of the thoughts you were playing with last time was you still have Teddy Dow as well, and there was some discussion about maybe having her take a look at the Dow boy.
Oh, fuck. You're right. Thank you, GM, for being kind to us.
Is it? Is it kind?
Is it?
I feel we need to have a conversation about what is and isn't appropriate with the kid.
Yeah.
And how intact he needs to stay. For example, she kind of seems the type, you know?
How about
Yes.
completely intact, being that he's a kid?
I'm not disagreeing. I didn't mean to come across as
No.
partial child dismemberment or anything like that, but I'm just saying that is, I feel, a discussion we would have to have if that's the sort of thing we're talking about.
Well, we can be there for everything. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
And then make sure he goes away safe.
Exactly.
So are we essentially looking for her help in doing the transfer with Sigma?
Do you think you can do it without her?
Possibly. It depends. We really need to talk to her and find out what... She was impressed by what we pulled off. But she put a lot of the weight of it, like the accomplishment, on us, which is why she was so interested in talking to us. So I know that if I send her like, hey, I would actually really love to discuss what we did, that might be enough to get her here.
It'll get her here, yeah.
Say, I have a challenge for you. That would probably definitely get her here. So it depends on how much we want her involved. However, what I say.
Do we think she was involved in getting the body at all?
You mean the one in my friggin' house?
No, actually. Sorry, I forgot that in our lives now we have to clarify what body we mean. I mean the kid's body, the probable clone, put a new brain in it body.
I don't know.
I don't think she was involved. Only because of the memory I have with Sigma, it seems like I was kind of flying that solo.
Okay.
But if I remember correctly, I'm sorry, I only met the child once. It looked like a real hack job to get that thing in his head. It looked real cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, that'll teach us.
well, I mean, I think we have the somewhere in our jumbled heads, we have the know-how to make it happen, but we don't have the biotechnical skills, if that makes any sense. We're not skilled with the meats. Is that making? Am I right here, or I don't know?
I mean, so far as I know.
Yeah,
I'm not a
that
neurosurgeon.
That wasn't really my area of expertise.
But it does sound a bit like hers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why we need her.
Right.
Yeah, the kid's was an external exocortex, so it's definitely different. It was not done by her, I don't think.
So do we want to talk to her about cloning, see if she knows anything about bodies, or do we want to leave that up for the woman over at Leandri, Gianni Avison? Assuming we can get in to see her.
I think it depends on how excited we can get her, right? She seems like the type to get excited about a thing and then just maybe go off about it.
Okay, let's give it a try.
Do you want me to tell her we've got a challenge for her?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay. So I'm going to send off a message just saying, I would love to talk about the work we did. I might have a challenge for you.
Okay. Cool. So you kind of search through the Exocortex, and you find some contact information you think might be hers, and you send out the message. And it doesn't take long, maybe like half an hour, before you get a response back, and the response is just an address.
Oh, it was quick, and it looks like there's a location we can find her.
I'm going to inspect what that location is.
Exactly. Perfect.
So that location appears to be a fairly large abandoned warehouse that was at one point a storage area for like an import-export company. It has been defunct for a while, but it is now privately owned. And there aren't any like schematics available at a quick glance, but it looks like a kind of a large warehouse, maybe with a parking garage attached and some internal office space. And there's some signs that it's been renovated and developed a little bit more than that.
So that sounds very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
That description.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe too familiar? Is it so familiar that I'm like, wait a minute, weren't we just there?
No, it's not the same place that you were at before.
Okay, good.
It does have a similar feel.
Yeah. Great. Well, strap on your guns, folks.
You don't think this will end in violence, do you?
I think everything's gonna end in violence. That's why I'm still alive right now.
Fair enough.
Okay. So you, the four of you arm up, and how overt are you going with the weapons? Are you like concealed carry, or are you assault rifles?
I'm going to conceal carry.
How about the rest of you?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm gonna go
definitely changes the
concealed carry,
message.
but I'm gonna go concealed carry. Like this guy's wearing a bulky jacket. Concealed carry.
Okay.
I
Cool.
don't use weapons.
All right.
Sebastian digs on his desk for a while through his collection of yo-yos until he finds just the right one. It's bright red,
Nice.
and it looks very expensive. He's very careful not to touch the wire with his bare hands.
It's a laser yo-yo. Fuck yes.
Love it. Love it. Cool. All right. So then the four of you relocate to your van, and you make the drive. So the Boss Wash Metroplex, driving the Boss Wash Metroplex is always an exercise in danger and survival. There's a lot of automated vehicles out there, and they're erratic, and there's a combination of like glutted traffic and high speed like emergency maneuvers. But you make your way across town, and you find this warehouse district, and there are various points where the district is really in disrepair. Like there's like crumbling buildings that have just been kind of cordoned off, and then there are a couple that look like they're still in operation, and then there's this block of like more higher end ones that are definitely still in operation and are probably owned by more advanced business interests. And it's right on that sort of line that you find the address in question. You move this over here.
Oh, great.
This is fancy as hell. I love it.
Boom.
Ah!
So you arrive outside at first, and as you pull up to the curb, you see the building a little bit ways off, and you immediately spot an external security camera, and it's clearly active and has picked up your arrival, and it's right over the sort of main doors that open up into the the heart of the warehouse. Are you doing anything to prepare before you go in?
I'll wave.
Nice.
I want to check traffic. Net traffic. I want to see what's going on. Who's doing what?
Okay. So you check it out, and the building itself has a lot of coming and going, high-speed internet traffic. So it's there's clearly a pretty advanced computer array inside, and some serious work is being done inside in terms of like uploading and downloading of information. In AR, the building is not like decorated; it's not enhanced at all. There's a couple like sprayed pieces of random graffiti, but otherwise there's no real AR presence. But you're guessing there's a pretty serious internet connection there.
There's a lot of movement here, guys. A lot of movement. A lot of information going back and forth. I'm going to assume this is a trap. And hope that it's not.
And just to clarify, you guys aren't bringing Teddy with you at this point, right?
No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we need to talk to her first.
Makes perfect
Gunfights
sense.
and ambushes are no place for a 12-year-old.
No.
Good call.
You at least have to be 14 for that.
Those 2 years, man. You see a lot of shit in those 2 years.
Makes all the difference in the world. So, anyone else want to do anything before you go in?
Fire up all my cameras, get everything recording levels adjusted, all of that.
Okay. As you're getting ready to go in, Jax, the things you've set up to kind of monitor the news feeds, it flags a story for your attention. And as you're like firing everything up and getting your gun and getting ready to go in, you see a short news clip of a body being discovered. And you see the front of J5's building, and you see police officers,
Fuck me.
Montaigne and Costas, coming out of the front of the building, and then a couple of uniformed police officers behind them carrying a body bag. And it's just body discovered in local apartment building. Investigation is ongoing, and that's it. It's just a short clip that was probably part of a larger like news broadcast. Your software flagged it.
I will send a link out to everyone, and I will revise my story on these asshole cops such that if J5's name comes up, that the whole vendetta they have against him, dirty cops, roughing up suspects thing, like clearly they're not above planting evidence, will come up too.
Nice.
That's it. Yep, good plan. Well, that's unfortunate.
Does anyone inside look like a cop?
Well, you start heading that direction, and
Yeah.
The four of you cross the road and walk up to the main doors, and you kind of push in through the main doors into this big open space. The warehouse is it's not in great repair, and it doesn't look like it's being used as a warehouse per se. But what you do see is that there's a lot of walkways. That's a large open building, and that perched up above over the main building is like this like maze of walkways and ladders that all connect to each other overhead. Maybe at one point they were part of a system to deliver packages to various vehicles, or was home to some conveyor belts or something. But right now they're just all like really dangerous thin walkways. And then underneath that, you see a couple of cars, sort of SUV type vehicles parked in a tight group, three of them. And then in the center, kind of where all the vehicles were facing, you're seeing a couple of tables that have been set up. And standing around those tables are a bunch of people. And the tables don't have anything on them now. And the people who are standing around are all, they seem really out of place. They look tense, and they look like, they all look like they're armed, even though they're not like brandishing their weapons, and they're kind of standing awkwardly and looking at the four of you as you walk in. Two of them really stand out. One of them is an older-looking guy who is not hiding the fact that he's carrying a weapon on his hip, and he is kind of scowling at you. And the other guys in the room, the other four, are constantly kind of looking at him and then looking back at you guys and shifting around sort of uncomfortably. The other guy in the room that stands out is a younger guy who has he's wearing a coat that has a bunch of pockets on the outside, and he's standing over like a duffel bag, and kind of like standing like almost protectively over the duffel bag. And Sebastian, you recognize this guy. His name is Quist.
Quist.
Yep. Quist. And the reason you recognize him is that he used to be a security consultant with Neurolab, and he was like a bodyguard to some of the higher ups at Neurolab. And he was one of the people who kind of connected with you as you were like procuring stuff for some of the people that worked there. And he ran into some trouble where he and his boyfriend they had gone into great debt with Neurolab to get a cloned child, and they had raised the child up to like 12 or 13. And then they had sort of messed up to the degree that they had cost Neurolab some money, and Neurolab was threatening to repossess their child. And so you helped them run and go into hiding.
What the fuck?
Okay.
So, and he clearly are you wearing your own face, or are you wearing someone else's face?
Sebastian was so taken aback by the newsfeed thing that he has completely forgotten to shift faces. And
Okay.
so, yes, he's wearing his own face.
So he looks at you, and he kind of like makes this eye contact with you, and then kind of looks away in a combination of like embarrassment, shame almost, and then looks at the older guy with a like a little bit of fear, and then looks back at you. The older guy, as you guys are walking in, kind of closes the distance about halfway to you and says, I'm Boone. You're here to talk to Chaos Bleeds.
Hi, Boone. I'm Jax, and yes, we are.
All right. You're going to have to disarm before you go up.
You gonna do the same? I will totally take my guns out and put them down.
So you put them down like on the table, or where do you put them?
I'll kind of hold them out, like, and.
Okay. So he goes over to you, and he'll take them, and then he puts them like down on the table, and says, kind of waves you over toward Quist, and Quist bends down to the to his duffel bag, and he comes up with like this tablet-looking thing, and hits a few buttons and kind of looks at you like through it almost, and then he nods to Boone, and Boone says, "You're all set."
Do we get a quick check number?
he kind of half grins at that and says, "I'll keep track of which ones are yours."
Appreciate it.
And then he looks over at the rest of you.
I just walk over. I'm not carrying anything.
Okay. Quist checks you and nods, and then Boone looks over at Chrome and J5.
Sebastian walks up and holds out his yo-yo like, is he going to confiscate this?
So as you're walking over to, you're going to Boone, or are you going to Quist with the yo-yo?
He walks past Boone. I mean, he's dressed in a suit. He's not here to kill people. There's no bulges. There's none of that jazz. So, but he walks over to Quist and going to confiscate my yo-yo.
Okay. So he looks at it, and he looks at you, and he looks at his pad, and he says, "I don't think we need your yo-yo." It doesn't give any other sign that he recognizes you at all.
Nope, neither do I. We've done this before.
Okay.
It's very generous of you, young man. I move to stand with my friends.
Okay, so I'm going to take an out-of-game moment here
Sure.
and sort of apologize to everyone because I may ruin this whole encounter because my character is pissed off.
That's okay.
Okay. All right. I'll take one gun out, like a pistol, and I'll slam it on the table and be like, "What the fuck?"
All right. So so Boone, when he slammed the pistol down, his hand goes to his weapon, and his eyes is kind of narrow, and he says, "What's your problem?"
I've had a bad day. You're making it worse. This is ridiculous. We're here to talk. What's the fucking problem?
Well, the fucking problem is the fucking boss says you don't go up there fucking armed. So you're going to make me consider you a threat, boy? Or are you going to do what I say?
I start looking for the nearest heavy thing to hide behind.
How old is this kid?
Oh, he's like maybe 40.
Maybe 40? What a young kid. I'm kidding.
No, the kid, Quist, is probably like in his 30s, but Boone is slightly older. He's like 40.
James, I'm going to try to do a thing.
Totally.
All right. It's going to be ridiculous.
All right.
I want to hack the pad.
Okay.
So that it can't detect my weapons. But while I'm doing it, I want to slowly take like 2 other weapons out of my coat so it doesn't look so it doesn't look bulky, and then like leave my boot gun and my other fucking gun that I don't know about that I have stowed somewhere.
Okay. So go ahead and roll sneaky for me.
Damn it.
Because you're trying real hard to do something else and not
Oh
getting
my
caught doing
god, it's the worst number.
That's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
So here's...
You say fate point lets you re-roll, right?
It does.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fate point that.
Oh, shit.
So Quist gets a 2. So if you fail here, there's a chance that
It might get violent. I get it.
it might get violent. There's also a chance that someone else might have an opportunity to try and save it.
Got it. So I'm gonna try the reroll.
Okay, let's see. What did you roll? Yeah, 3 negatives. You should.
No, Quist, no.
So what aspect are you going to invoke that makes you good at this?
I'm gonna say that I know this system. It's a system I've used before. I worked in a corporation. We scan for weapons all the fucking time.
Okay, I'll buy that. Spend a fate point.
Done. That's
All right.
better.
So now you're succeeding. No, you're not. You're tying, which means that you can succeed at a minor cost. So I'm going to say that you can succeed if, let's see, the minor cost is going to be that that Quist eventually will figure out that he was hacked.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Cool. Give myself a note of that.
This is gonna result in an amazing movie moment in like 2 minutes.
Yay. I love
What?
those.
We were hacked? Goddamn
Nice.
Russians.
Cool. All right, so you finish unloading on the table, and Boone says, "Good boy. Now go talk to the boss, and I'll see you when you're done."
I'm gonna knock the table over and then walk by.
I send quietly to everyone on a network. I'm just like, asshole, man.
I know you're talking about me. It's all right.
So he looks down at the pile of guns on the floor that are all your guns, and stands there and watches the 4 of you kind of gestures up, and the 4 of you kind of start walking your way up the maze of ladders and walkways. You make it up to the 2nd level, and up here you see there are 3 people. They're strategically sort of placed so that they are overlooking the floor and also overlooking what looks like the office space back when this was an operating warehouse. And that office space looks like almost like a clean room that's been like attached to the back corner of the warehouse. So it's fairly large. It's got all sorts of pipes and tubes and cables running to it. And at the outside, it looks like kind of a mess. Any of you who've worked in sort of IT situations before recognize that it could be a fully functioning lab. It could be a fully functioning computer hub. It could be anything in there. And it's a fairly large one. you make your way up, and as you're passing by these 3 people, one of them is all of them are armed with like assault rifle type weapons. One of them looks like kind of a serious type. He's not super excitable. He just kind of watches you as you move and kind of notes your progress. The other one, it looks bored and keeps like sighting down the rifle at you guys and then sighting away and switching back and forth. And the last, the one you have to go closest to on your way by, this one, Bishop, is like the consummate professional. She watches you come up and like has good trigger discipline, keeps the weapon pointed in your general direction but not at you, and makes eye contact and kind of does the up and down on the way by. This is sort of like a secondary security check. So as you're working your way by, she's given you like just visually, but giving you like the once over to see if you're carrying anything. So Sebastian, could you roll sneaky, please? And J5, could you roll sneaky, please?
Damn it.
Really should try
Can
to
I
get
be a
that
little
in.
flashy in hopes that maybe helps them be a little less noticed, just like catwalking a little bit, like, ooh, I'm gonna take my jacket open, like, look at me, see, I don't have anything.
Yeah,
Make a slight joke out of this whole thing.
Oh, we're terrible.
It totally can. Go ahead and roll flashy. And let me take a look at what Bishop's skills are.
I am at that.
Wow. Okay, yeah. So
Jesus.
we're going to say that you created an aspect here of...
Hey, I'm Jax. I don't fail at things.
You're right.
We're going to call it on the catwalk.
Nice.
Excellent.
Nice.
And you've got 2 free invokes on it. So if either of these fine gentlemen fail their
I'm
their
probably
checks, they
going to
get
use that.
those invokes.
I'm probably gonna use that.
Okay, so I'll roll against J5 first.
It's not enough. All right.
Not enough. And then we roll real quick against Sebastian. So neither you are quite there.
Well,
Use the free invokes.
Yes.
Nate, I'm going to say you go ahead and use one.
Yep. Where do I
That'll get
drag
you
this thing?
safe.
I can just delete it.
Okay. Cool. And what am I doing again? I'm sorry. I'm re-rolling.
You don't need to. If you can, what aspect are you going to invoke? Oh, you're invoking on the catwalk. Duh.
Yes, please.
Never mind. You just get +2. And that puts you up to 3, which is enough. So you're all set?
Sneak by.
I, however, am not. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'll be like, fine. You found me out. Yeah, you with the eyes. And I'll take out my last gun, which is not actually my last gun, and drop it on the ground. And then just keep walking.
Okay. So go ahead and roll sneaky again.
Damn it! I'm so bad at sneaky. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So you drop that last gun, and Bishop like notes it, and then she's like really intent on you at that point, and you're trying to sneak by with the last gun, but to succeed, it looks like you're probably to even tie.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to
it's
use
not
a
gonna
free
happen.
invoke and a fate point.
She can pat me down. It's good.
Okay. So she as you get up sort of close to her, she puts her finger like on the trigger, raises the assault rifle, so she's like holding it against her hip and just pointing the barrel at you, and she says, "Wait," and then she kind of looks over and watches Jax complete the walk, letting Jax like work her way across the things towards where Chaos Bleeds is, and just holds you there, kind of watching. And then she gets a smile and she kind of looks back at you and says, "Okay."
Pretty nice, right?
Hands on the railing.
All right. I'll do it.
And she like pushes your head down, kicks your feet apart, and completely pats you down. And finds the last gun, takes it out, and then turns you like back around so it's facing her. And she puts the barrel of the assault rifle like right to your chin. And she says, "You get one." And that's used.
All right, but I'm not paying you for this.
She
Just keep poking the bear.
right. She says, "I hate assholes like you."
Me too. I gotta go. Excuse
She
me.
leans back out of your way, and she just like kicks your guns off the catwalk onto the ground.
That's fair.
Okay.
I had more.
Can I just raise the point now?
Yeah.
Like out of game that we are down to one laser yo-yo and nothing else.
Hey, I've got spray cans.
One
Oh,
laser yo-yo and nothing else.
I'm sorry. This is how my character reacts to having a bad day. I'm so sorry, everyone. He's like, fuck everyone right now.
We appreciate your role playing.
Cool. Okay.
Besides, all we have to do is not make this a gunfight, right?
Right, there we go.
Piece of cake.
No,
Make a
we're all
yo-yo
really good.
off.
Yeah, really.
Perfect. So the way I have those lines drawn across the scenes, each is a zone. Just on the off chance that this does become a firefight, there are 2 zones on the floor. There are 2 zones on the catwalks, and then the lab itself is a zone. So I'm going to go ahead and move all your little tokens over into the zone we have here. All right. So you go in, and the way it kind of looks as you're walking through is it is like an airlock. Like you come up to this first door, there's a bunch of cameras, and in fact, the camera there's the one camera that you can see that's kind of hardwired in, and you also see a spider drone, a fairly small one, that's perched somewhere like up to the side on the structure of the room, and it just kind of skitters until it's in a good position. And at a glance, it does kind of look like that drone is armed.
Of course it is.
The airlock door slides open slowly, and there's like a little clean room area where the 4 of you step in, and it's a little close quarters, and then it releases a gas that floods over you. It's kind of cold, makes your skin tingle, and then you are the door opens on the other side, and you enter into a complex laboratory setting. Ooh. It's at odds to what you'd expect, because you're kind of expecting this really like over the top AR laden room, and what you get is cold and sterile. There's operating tables, there's computer banks, there's the only AR in the room seems to be like workspaces, and right now they're all blacked out.
Does it look new?
No, not necessarily new.
Okay.
No. Yep. Except, I guess one corner does look new. There are 2 people in the room as you're entering, and another one of those spider drones. This one is bigger than the one outside, is also more heavily armed. The Chaos Bleeds is here, and she's wearing the same oversized sweater that she had before. And she is sitting at a chair near one of the computer banks. And there are a couple of monitors on the computer screens, but you know that the computer monitors are the smallest part, that it's probably very elaborate in AR, but it's all tuned to her private network. And she spins in the chair to face you, and like she has her hood down, and all you see is the artificialness of her face and the advanced sort of technology that makes up most of her skull. And you see little tufts of hair maybe at the small of her back, or at the small of her neck, going at the bottom of her head towards her neck. And then she reaches up, and the spider-like fingers kind of curl around, and she pulls her hood up as you're walking in. The other occupant of the room is sitting in the section that looks new, and in that section you see a chair that's like a gaming chair, like almost exactly what J5 has back at the hub. And sitting on the chair, kind kind of having sat up and turned sideways, is a woman. She's probably in her late 20s. She has a computer jack, like a data jack, in the base of her skull, and another two like in the side of her head. And she's got her hair kind of pulled up in a kind of a messy top knotty thing to reveal the ports. And there are wires coming out of the chair that probably go into those ports. And she's wearing like a black T-shirt with a cyberpunk band name on it, and jeans. And she's slipping her feet into a pair of combat boots as you guys are coming in. And she just kind of like looks worriedly in your direction, and then glances over at Chaos Bleeds, and then back at you guys.
I smile.
What's that? Go ahead.
I smile.
She kind of gives you a hesitant smile back, and just kind of perches awkwardly there on the chair as you guys enter. So Chaos Bleeds stands and walks over towards Lee and says, "You have a challenge."
I think so, yeah.
Well, you've come right into my parlor. How can I help you?
So we may have run into a situation where some of the hardware that we installed may have been removed.
That's very interesting. So before, you didn't have the time of day for me, and now you need me.
Well, I do greatly apologize for that. We had police on our tail at the time, and I didn't really want to get you involved. So I do apologize for coming off so brusquely. We were under pressure at the moment.
I've done a whole story on the assholes if you want to see it. It's pretty good work. I mean, for a rush job.
I am less interested in the circumstances surrounding you than the configuration inside you. If what I implanted does what I think it does, then you are sitting on something precious and something I need. Who removed it?
Hack jobs.
Mm-hmm. And do you have it?
Yeah, secured.
Then what do you need from me?
It's been a while since we've done this. Wanted to be able to go over everything again with you and get your input on a few things.
If I help you, will you give it to me?
Define it.
The cyberware that was removed. The Exocortex.
That I can't do. It is not mine to give to you.
Is it in a secure place?
Yes.
Where?
A little uncomfortable discussing it at the moment.
So as you're kind of saying that, I'm going to say Sebastian, you're kind of watching the exchange, and when Chaos Bleeds asks that question, the other woman in the room like sits up straight and looks like quickly over to like the group of you, and then up at the spider drone, and then just kind of shifts a little bit like further away from you. And then Chaos Bleed says, "So you don't trust me? You want my help, but you won't trust me."
I mean, given the amount of shit we've gone through, I think you don't want to know, frankly.
Yeah.
It's been an adventurous couple of days. Working on a story on it if you're interested.
So you're trying to protect me?
Trying to protect everybody.
Yeah.
You trying to protect me is keeping me from the things I want. I come to you, you try to protect me from the police. I ask for information, and you try to protect me.
Because you can't do anything with the things you want if you're dead. Which is not coming from me, it's just kind of been our lives recently. Between the apartment blowing up and all of the... Like I said, it's been an adventurous couple of weeks.
I think you underestimate me.
Well, my sincerest apologies if so, but...
I'm going to sidle over a little bit closer to the other person, the other woman. And while these guys are going through all the important talk, I'm just going to Sebastian Gold, it's very nice to meet you, and offer my hand. And this also puts me next to her, so if I need a human shield, I've got one.
Perfect.
You're an awful person, you know that?
No, I plan on living through this.
She shakes your hand, and she says, Alice, acid burn.
Alice Acidburn. It's very nice to meet you, Alice.
Yeah, likewise, I'm sure.
It's rare in my circles to meet someone who actually knows the neonic flashbangs like you do. I haven't seen one of their older shirts in a while. It's quite nice, and I'm just going to bullshit with her while my friends do the real talking.
Yeah.
Maybe the drone won't open fire if one of them's in the way.
Okay. And it looks like you hit that chord. Like you hit that thing that she really kind of wants to talk about, other than the thing she's not supposed to talk about. Right. So she takes it and she's like, oh yeah, they're great, and starts talking about them.
Have you seen them in concert? We won tickets not long ago, one of my cousins and I, but he got so drunk we had to carry him out and on and on and on and on and on. Sebastian can bullshit for hours. Should have been a politician.
And she's taking it up. The little bits you're getting from what she's talking about the band and some of her experiences with the band, you think that she hasn't seen them a lot in person, but that she's a big fan of theirs, and that that she's sort of the reason she couldn't see them before is because she was really busy, and that recently she's had a little bit more time to see them, but that free time kind of dried up again. So she had this window where she got to see them a couple of times, but when she was younger, she couldn't really, and recently she hasn't been able to.
It's the way life is these days, just so busy.
Poor girl.
Cool. Okay. So Chaos Bleeds is kind of splitting her attention between Jax and Lee at this point. And it's just kind of keeping half an eye on J5. And it's pretty much ignoring Sebastian entirely.
Yes.
And she says, so if you're so keen on protecting me, what is it you're offering for my help? And what is it you want from me?
Well, I'll leave the want to people with more technical ability. But like Lee said, it's not like we have one we can give away. What else are you interested in? I'm sure Lee could probably have this conversation better, but is not a technical person. But still, I'm happy to help. I'm just not quite clear on everything you do.
What I need is freedom. Life is somewhere in the middle between chaos and order. Flesh and life is chaos, and then the chaos becomes too extreme, and the flesh fails. Cancer grows. Growth spirals out of control. And she kind of puts her hand up, and her fingers do that back and forth thing. And then we put order in place over it. We control that which kills us. And we learn how to live despite the chaos. Chaos makes us bleed, and I don't want to bleed anymore.
I will say quietly over our network, does she just want to upload her brain onto the network? Did I follow that right?
It's like she doesn't want to have any fleshy parts anymore.
Sounds like to me that she just wants to exhibit order over everything. I don't know what that means. or how she plans to do it. But that's how it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
What you have is the key to what I want. I was paid for helping you, but I was misled. I have the pieces, but not enough. And she really looks angry. Like she has this in front of her and can't quite get it. And she says, but if I had what you had, what you have, and then she puts her hand up like she wants to touch your face, and her finger's just gonna, but maybe not your face, but maybe your exocortex, and kind of makes this petting gesture with both of her creepy hands. Then I could live forever.
How do you define living? What is life to you? Thought? Only thought? There's more to life than that.
Is there?
Yeah.
Like what?
We are
Blood?
defined by the things we feel and experience.
So if you could separate from your body, if you could just be thought and impulse and will, you wouldn't want to be that?
There'd be a few things I'd miss.
That's a very interesting question. I don't know. I can't say for sure.
And the things that you would miss, Lee, are they worth dying for? Are they worth accepting death as a consequence of having?
Yeah, it's part of humanity. It's a cycle of things.
She literally laughs at that and then says, humanity is a blight. Flesh is a blight.
What about love?
She she kind of stops for a minute at that and then says, my love would be forever. And maybe your warm embraces and soft caresses would no longer touch me. But that's not what love is to me. And she gestures down at herself, and you can just kind of tell that under the clothes that she's mostly artificial. And she says, I haven't for a long time. All that I have left of flesh is pain and mortality.
So what would you do with this freedom if you found it?
Whatever I wanted.
You must have some sort of plan. Smart lady like you.
First, I have to understand it. Then I'll make a plan. So, I can't figure out how to message you back, J5, but you get a message back that's, thanks. And then goes into techno babble for just a second, and then says, makes me wish what I had when I was in Mishima.
Got it.
Okay.
I'll send you a follow-up message while I try to think of other stuff.
Okay. So as Chaos Bleeds kind of wraps that up, she moves closer over to the two of you and then says, so now you know. All the webs that I weave are for this. You have what I want. What will you give me?
I will ping Lee. So obviously, we're not giving her one of our heads or Sigmas. How dangerous is, I don't know, a scan? Is that nasty AI. Can we point her in that direction? You and J5 are the techies. I'll ping it to both of you.
Is there maybe something that we know or aware of that we could send her in the direction of?
Well,
It's not us.
So over the messaging little system we have here, I'd say something like, I'm not sure that's a good idea. We don't know if we can combine the bad one with the good one to make it the whole thing. I don't know. I feel like we just don't know enough about it. Does that make any sense?
That's completely fair. That's
I admit I'm kind of willing to kick this problem down the road.
All right.
I mean, to get Sigma back, and then if this has to be dealt with later, it has to be dealt with later.
I like your fuck it plan. That's good. Let's do that.
The fuck it list.
Everyone's got a fuck it list.
Well, if we wanted to risk her having some of this, we could always promise her notes and whatever it is I can remember afterwards. Or part of them now, part of them later.
I mean, if you think that'll work, that's great.
I worry that she's going to want more immediately.
Yeah.
I don't know what else we have here. Can't give her one of our exocortexes. Certainly
Right.
not.
Is there some sort of scan that is helpful and won't give everything away, or require one of us to have our heads opened?
Good question. Let me access my data logs and figure it out.
You think probably. So you kind of put your heads together and you come up with a
Bonk.
mildly invasive scan that would give good information without giving all the information, as sort of like a starting offer. So we'll call it an EM scan.
Sounds good.
Sweet. Totally just made that up.
Sounds medical.
Yeah. So, an EM scan would give her some data, but not too much data, and she would know that you were intentionally not giving her full access. You were giving her a taste.
Sure.
I'll volunteer for that if you make sure that's all that happens.
Yeah. So if we do this thing, we will have a hand in it. We will monitor it the entire time. Aggressively. If that makes sense.
Sebastian's going to bullshit while you guys figure this out. Excuse me for just a sec.
Okay. Let me write this real quick.
So do you want to present that later, or do you want me to?
Why don't you do it?
Okay.
Boom. Okay. Oh, that message is for
Got it.
J5. Doesn't seem to have a reply function, and I can't figure out what part of your name it wants to hear for me to whisper to you.
It's probably /W space and then just hit T and then it'll bring it up.
There it is.
And then you
Sweet.
have to click on it.
Got it. I can do that.
There you go.
Cool. Okay, so Lee, you got the floor.
I'll ping you. Ready? Good with this?
Do it.
Okay.
I agree.
I'll say, so I'm shy enough I'm not willing to, have my skull off. But, I don't know, you want to do something like an EM scan? I mean, you're a smart woman. If you can fill in the blanks.
And in exchange for that, what would you want from me?
Whatever Lee needs.
It's a start. Okay. So she moves over to one of the operation tables, and kind of gathers across the top of it with her longish fingers the sheet that's covering it, and she pulls it off and then wheels or pulls down from above a suspended piece of equipment, and then she gestures for you to lie down.
I'll ping Lee. This and J5. This looks legit, right? But I will walk over like nothing's wrong. Right, guys? Right, guys?
Yeah, we'll check it out as best we can. I mean, I'm not a medical doctor, but I guess I can investigate the tech aspects of it.
I'll go take a look.
Okay. So, let's see. Which one of you has the better careful?
Good question. My careful is a 2.
Two.
And I'll sit on the edge of the bed, but not quite lay down, and be like, "It's a deal, then, right?"
She says, I will not become your slave for
Not
a
asking
purpose, but I will help. So long as the understanding is that this is the first step to a deeper understanding.
Slavery is not what we want. It's never what we want. It's not our gig. Also, your guards are assholes, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna go back to checking the equipment. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sabotaging everything.
What was your careful?
Mine is 2. Should I roll it?
What was yours, Lee?
Two.
2? Yeah, so one of you should roll it and you get a +1 from the other person.
I'll roll it. Oh god. I'm sorry I rolled. The dice
Okay.
gods are not with me today.
No. So I'm going to say it's going to be difficulty professionals. It's going to be difficulty 2 to really understand the machine. So you're a little short on it. Do you want to spend fate points to try to get up there?
Yes.
Okay. What are you going to try and invoke?
I want to, does it have a data jack?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I'm going to plug into it.
Okay.
I'll be like, all right, what's going on here?
Okay. So you plug into it and you spend a fate point to bring your -1 up to a +1, or do you want to reroll?
We'll re-roll, right?
Cool.
Question mark?
Spend a fate point and spin the roll.
Oh my god, guys. I'm fucking rolling. Oh, it's so much better. So much better.
Yes, there are. All right.
Thanks, Nate. It was your cheering that got me there.
Excellent. Okay. So you jack into it, and Chaos Bleeds like hovers while you're jacking into it. And what you understand is that this is exactly the sort of scan that she agreed to. It's capable of it. It has other capabilities, but it would be able to do that. The other thing that you learn is that I guess there's one other thing you can learn, but you just tied it and you didn't succeed. Do you want to spend a fate point to get the rest of the data, or the minor cost is that there's a mystery here? Because the difficulty was 2 and you got a 2, so you tied it.
You got a lot of fate points if something goes south.
Well, I mean, I have 2 left.
That's true. You'd have.
Is it possible to assist him?
Oh,
Your assistant. Oh, your assistant gave him a +1, right?
yeah.
Oh, that's right.
We forgot about
I
that.
forgot about that. Okay, so then you got it. So the other thing that this will do is when she hooks it up to Jax, she will get the EM scan, and she will get an understanding of the network. So she'll understand the architecture of the network. It won't allow her to access anything or change anything, but it will let her identify where the nodes are and how tightly connected they are.
As in physical space where they are?
Probably, yeah.
All right, send that to everyone. Make sure everyone knows.
Well, that's not cool. Is Sigma on the network?
Yes.
Then someone needs to mention we have a problem. EM scan only, like, we can't give her the physical location of our obvious other one.
Right. Well, okay, so I guess the question is Sigma on the network now?
She's still definitely part of the network. She's turned off, Like the exocortex is turned off, but you
But
could
her spot
access
is
her
there.
from here.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could try to interfere with that. Like you could plug it in and then you could run some interference.
I don't know, guys.
Or you could say no, or you could call her on it.
I think we got to start somewhere, but I don't want to give her everything. Maybe we should address this one particular thing and say, "Hey, I don't want you knowing where we are. We have got too much stuff going on. We need to watch our backs. This is just a taste, you know."
Mm-hmm. Would you like me to bring that up, or do you want to?
Yes, please. That's you. I think you speak better than I do.
I don't know. I like your straightforwardness. But I'll look like I'm about to lay down and then be like, oh shoot. EM scan only, right? This whole network location thing, that's not part of the deal.
She looks over at J5 and then back to you, and then she nods, and she accesses a panel like in AR, and her fingers just kind of tap, and then J5, you see that part of the program go offline.
We good?
Is it actually offline?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Because that's something I would do.
I will say kind of quietly as I lay down, like, don't blame me for trying.
I give her a physical nod. I give Jax a physical nod.
Okay. Cool.
And then I unplug as soon as that shit starts. No offense.
She starts the scan, and you, Jax, feel like the worst migraine ever, as like the exocortex gets bombarded, and your brains just pick up your brain picks up a bunch of the activity of the EM scan and translate it into pain, and just are incredibly intense pain for what seems like forever, but to everyone else is like 5 seconds. It's a long 5 seconds for everyone, but and Chaos Bleeds just her fingers just like split apart almost, so like that where the hand kind of comes together, it splits apart, so they're like even longer, and they're just like flying over the in AR, hitting things, and then she's adjusting things, and then she keeps like looking up into the air over the device, and then it stops, the pain stops, and Chaos Bleeds looks at the information and then puts it away.
Warning next time would have been nice.
And she looks at you and just kind of gives like a half shrug, and goes back around to the chair that she was in when you came in.
I very obviously go and hold Jax's hand.
Thanks.
And then she sits, and she brings up does this gesture, and you can kind of see all the AR light up around her. She goes through the data, and it just scrolls by super quick.
I am recording the shit out of that.
Nice.
High def. We're going to slow that down later.
So the one thing that jumps out immediately as you're seeing the data flow through is that she has some pretty extensive files on Project Al-Sirat.
Is that a familiar name to us?
Yes.
Yes. Which one was that?
Boom. So I'll drag you over here for a minute. So Al-Sirat was the project that Blue Sun was in charge of.
Ooh.
And yeah, what that was related to was I just totally messed up the whole thing. It was related to digitizing human intelligence and basically making human intelligence into an AI. There we go. Now it's all pretty again. So she has that, And that was one of the things that when Adis was talking to you all, he made reference to that being part of the association's kind of collaborative plan. So she looks over the information quickly enough to just ascertain that it is in fact what was promised, and then she gestures again, and all the AR flickers back to private mode, and she turns back towards the four of you and says, "My turn. What do you need to know?"
I will slowly sit up. Lee?
We need to be able to move the information in one exocortex, including the personality, to another one.
If not another one, then
To repair the wounds.
possibly something more advanced.
Okay. So she says, she looks like, all right, so she leans forward and she says, well, that's impossible. No exocortex has enough information to totally replace a personality or totally house a personality. Unless you're telling me that yours can.
Hypothetically speaking, then.
And she gets real, still. And she says, then you've already accomplished what I want to accomplish.
Wasn't me.
I'm not quite sure we've accomplished anything.
Yeah.
We have an exocortex that has been removed, and we're trying to get it safely established and hoping of preserving whatever we can.
What we have is not whole.
No.
Then it will never be whole.
All right, then we'll take what we got.
If you want to transfer that information into another exocortex, that should be easy if the exocortex is equal in sophistication. If you are trying to use that exocortex to make a person live again, if that is possible, I can give advice about how that would work. You would need a brain, and then she opens up an AR window and starts putting specifications and information into it, and some of it is hypothetical, and some of it Lee you immediately recognize as stuff that you know. And as she starts putting that information out there, it just clicks for you. And now you know, you could do that. If you had a brain that was a fully mature brain, and you had the exocortex, and you had access to a lab similar to this one, you think you can make it work, just like you did with the kid.
Is this something we have the equipment back in the hub to do? Or would we need a lab like this?
You think if you got the hub operational 100%, you could do it in the hub. If you didn't get the hub 100% operational, you could definitely do it here.
The actual problem is going to be the brain.
Yeah.
So forgive me for dragging the conversation down, but when you say a mature brain, is that just out of some poor schmuck's skull, or does that have to be grown in a lab? Where does one get brains these days?
A question for the ages.
She says, grown in a lab, I would imagine.
Yeah, over the network, but we have a sample. We could probably regrow hers.
It has to be mature though, and we can't. There's no speedy growth.
I'll say out loud, how long does it take a lab to grow a brain?
That technology is beyond where we're at currently. Perhaps one of the corporations may have something to do that. But I imagine you could probably do it with existing technology in about 18 years. The brain would have to develop to the point where it could sustain adult information. It would have to be physically mature, and we would have to grow it from scratch.
There are labs that have that, aren't there? And I look to see if she reacts anyway, in any way.
So she's doing this like real intense thing where she's watching you guys and like trying to read how likely this is and how much of this is like just hope on your part and how much of this is fact. And
Well, we don't know, so good luck to her.
Right, exactly. We're like, whatever.
so she's doing this real intense thing. And when you say that, she doesn't really respond. And she shrugs and she says, theoretically, exploring the flesh is not something I've ever been interested in. Surpassing the flesh is what I've been interested in.
I see.
I'm going
But I
to.
mean, these exocortexes need brains, like at least long term, right? Or
Normally,
are you
yes.
hoping to jump off from there?
I'm hoping to never need the flesh. And if what you're saying you think you can accomplish, you can accomplish, then you have already taken everything that is a person and put it on an exocortex. And her eyes sort of flip back and forth again between each of your faces, like she's trying to read your thoughts. And if you can do that, then the next step is easy.
The next step being,
Well, the next step for her is transcendence, as she would put it.
Leaving the flesh behind.
so hypothetically, assuming an exocortex that could have a whole person in it, if you don't want to put it into a brain, you put it into, I mean, is there a mechanical body sufficient to interact with an exocortex that would be that complicated?
It is not my intention to ever have a body again. But I imagine, yes. Once you can take a personality and will, and you can make it completely a thing of technology, then what it can interface with and what it can control is whatever a computer could interface with and control.
Guys, over the thing. I had a terrible idea. What if we
Wait, why
give?
not?
This is a terrible idea. What if we give her what she wants and we use her body for Sigma?
Sebastian looks concerned.
It's a mature brain. It's a functional body.
If only we had an extra exocortex, which we don't.
James, in the information, now that I've remembered all of this, is there information in there about how to basically stabilize Sigma's current exocortex?
You think you can, yes. And what she's talking about, the next step being easy, isn't.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot more than that. Like, she's being very, very,
Broad strokes.
yeah, she's really maybe exaggerating her own competence a little bit, maybe in her own mind, maybe she buys it, but you are sure that exocortex has enough information that you could put Sigma's personality back in a meat body if you use that exocortex or something like that exocortex. What she seems to believe is that you wouldn't need a body, that you could just take the stuff in the exocortex and then put it in another computer and be fine, and you're not convinced of that.
No.
All right, I make sure everyone is aware of that. It's like we can buy ourselves a little bit more time. I can stabilize her, so we're not losing any of her.
It's not to say it's not possible, but it's not possible with what you know right now.
While we're deliberating, I'm going to lean next to my new friend here and remember. So, do you come here often?
I practically live here, man.
You live here? Of all places. Are you a doctor? A physician of some kind?
No, I'm a computer security specialist.
Oh. It's a good field to get into.
It's been a ride.
I can only imagine.
I've seen some things that, well, not many people have seen.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm always up for a good story. It's a shame there's no drinks.
I was part of a group of about 150 computer security specialists who tore apart an AI.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that sounds dreadful.
it was really interesting. I suppose it's dreadful if you're an AI.
Yes.
And I guess there were some casualties too. But we did it.
Oh, that sounds very impressive.
Yeah, it's not easy.
I can imagine. Your friend here is
She kind of scowls at the word friend.
I see, your acquaintance, employer,
Boss.
Yes, of course I understand. Well, he sort of gives her a look like, you know, there are some crazy ones left in the world, but he doesn't say anything. Very helpful. And I'm just going to keep murmuring while we figure out the important stuff. Just, okay, good to know who she is, what she's doing here.
She, when you start pushing the tech button a little bit, she kind of responds in the same way as when you talked about her favorite band. So it's a little bit gushy and it's a little bit techno babble, and she avoids talking about anything related to right now. But she like war stories about how challenging it is to hunt a computer virus that can replicate itself and can make copies of itself and send itself everywhere, and how you have to kind of systematically erect firewalls, and it's like building these traps to slowly inch this thing in. And then she says, and there's this moment where we had its main copy isolated in the Mishima central processing unit, and we fucking had it, you know? And then we cut off all the external communications, EMPs, viruses, and then done. Silence. I mean, people died, and that sucks. But the code was complex, man. It was incredible.
It certainly sounds it. You're kind to take the time to explain this to me. Some days I can barely get my front door open in the apartment. Technology is not my thing, but it's very interesting to hear about. He'll play that card of, oh, please tell me more, thinking to himself, I think maybe we know each other a little better than
She talks a little bit.
Good person to know.
She talks a little bit about the code of the AI, and she gets this like sort of reverent awe, and you kind of feel like there's something about that she wants to tell you, but isn't sure she should.
I sent you a quick message, Sebastian. Yeah, she's got filters. Her boss has put in filters.
Sounds like she hasn't left this room in particular for quite some time.
Yeah, she warned me that we're gonna get scanned as soon as we leave, or traced rather, or try to be traced.
I'll keep her talking.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So, in order to get her to open up any more about the things she shouldn't talk about or doesn't want to talk about, you're going to have to push her to it. So, what sort of approach are you going to use to do that?
Push it real good.
I'm going to use. That's a good question.
No. Sometimes you work backwards from looking at the approaches, but other times you just kind of have to think about the story and what Sebastian would do, and then we fit that to the approach. So how would Sebastian get her to open up?
So many jokes.
Patient seduction? Like, what are we talking here?
Focus. Oh, absolutely not. Sebastian would maybe drop a couple of names because he's a high society operator. And well, we've heard this and that, and like basically he'll almost drop like he's feeling her out for a job.
Okay. So like a little flashy, like, hey, I'm a big deal.
Yeah, like, I don't know these big deals, and I've heard about this and that and the other thing, and you sound, the subtext is, well, you sound really competent, but I'm on the razor's edge of thinking that maybe you're the hottest shit in town.
Okay. So I'm a big deal. You seem like you might be a big deal. Impress me. Okay, roll flashy.
So flashy.
Cookie.
Look what's under my coat.
You got it. All right. So you kind of lay it on, and she kind of nods and looks around and says, "This stuff I'm looking at now is some pretty high level encryption, and I think." And she like looks around and says, "I'm pretty sure it was encrypted by an AI."
Really?
Because I kept some of the AI's code. Just a piece. Just a little bit. Just enough that you can see the hand at work, you know? Like every code, you can kind of tell who wrote it based on how it kind of compiles and goes together. And I got just enough of this AI's code, which once an AI hits a certain level of sophistication, it can rewrite itself. So I'm looking at like code written by an AI to make an AI. And I'm not saying I understand it yet, but I think I'm starting to understand it. And the encryption that I'm peeling apart, it was an AI.
Really? That is fascinating. I'm going to set off a little tiny alarm in all of your... Like, hey, by the way, just figuring this out over here. Scary. Okay. Yeah, he'll keep talking to her, but his internal thought process is like, oh no, why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Nice. Okay, where are you taking things with Chaos Bleeds?
To the police.
Well, once we get that flag from Sebastian, I'm gonna ping back. Like, is there any way to tell which AI? I mean, that the dead one's the good one, right?
That was the impression.
Yeah.
An artificial intelligence that can replicate itself and was very, very difficult to track down and kill. Except it seems like maybe she's kept a part of it.
Oh.
That could be neat. We need to keep track of this woman.
Yes. So, can you tell me, is this a long-term contract you have going on here, or might you be available for other, possibly more lucrative work in the future?
I'm always open to work, but I don't know what my timetable looks like for this operation. And she actually, like, when she starts thinking about that, you can tell she's getting pretty uncomfortable, and again kind of looks up at the spider drone and then over at the group of you, and she says, really hard to predict how these jobs go sometimes.
Oh, of course, I understand. I didn't mean to be too forward. Anyway, here's my card. And he pulls out one of his business cards and hands it to her. If you ever find yourself in need of a change of scenery.
She takes it and she says, "Oh, paper, cute."
Retro. You understand, of course.
Nice.
All right.
That's amazing. I love it.
So where are you going with Chaos Bleeds? You got basically what you're looking for? Are you gonna push for some more? Are you gonna...
Any other tech questions, tech people?
I think we got enough to at least stabilize her, and I can certainly do the work again now.
All right, but anything else you can think of while she's here and talking?
Like I've expressed, I think she looks a little bit more of her capabilities than she's probably actually capable of. So I think at this point we have as much as she's going to give us. I think we need to talk to your guy about cloning a brain and what kind of timetable we actually can get.
Or just finding a lab that has a clone brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can talk to, and say I can see what my contact Sin brings up as far as a body and what he has access to. I think we should just get out of here.
Yeah, I think we're good. So I think we're at the point where we risk giving too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if everyone smarter than me in the room is satisfied, I think that's good by us. And I do think that would be everyone. I'll hold out my hand for Chaos Bleeds.
She rises from the chair and comes over towards you, and wraps her fingers around your hand, so it's like one hand out with a regular handshake, and then the other hand like on your forearm, and the fingers make like almost all the way around and touch her own wrist, and then she says, "We will see each other again."
I'm sure.
Won't we?
I think that was in the plan. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
We don't go back on deals.
And she, she says, "I'm happy that we were able to come to an agreement, and I'm hope that we're able to continue to work together." And she holds the handshake for like an uncomfortably long time, and then lets go and slowly backs away, kind of opening her grip slowly, so like the pointy fingertips of her fingers trace along your skin as she backs back. And then she gestures towards the far door, and the door swings open, like. And
Till next time.
She nods, and Alice like gently punches Sebastian in the shoulder, and says, "Hey, good talking to you. Keep me in mind."
Very nice to meet you. Take good care.
I'm gonna have to get to work right now.
Completely understand.
And I'm going to ping J5 and Lee and say, okay, there's nothing else. Like, I don't have a virus in my brain now, right?
I think you're fine. But I'm gonna start firewalling like a madman.
Good. Go ahead and roll. Let's see, careful or clever for firewalling.
I'm gonna go with clever.
Okay.
Boom.
Wow.
Yes, you are.
Damn. That's Jack's level rolling right there.
I mean, almost. Not quite. Is good.
Almost. All right. So you guys head out. I'm just gonna roll this.
And I would like to be polite and social to everyone on our way out.
Oh, so
Thank them for the work.
before we step
Smile.
out of the room that we're sorry to interrupt. I apologize.
Go for it.
So before we step out of the room we were in, I sort of say, and can you do me a favor and have your douchebag guard pick up our guns that he knocked over downstairs? He's such a dick, that fucking guy.
So
Please. And I won't even wait to hear her response. I'll just see if she does it and leave.
okay. All right. So you head out. I'm gonna wait on that for that. Okay. So you guys head out and you walk your way by, and it does look like the atmosphere is slightly different as you're leaving. As you walk past the three on the catwalks, Bishop has like completely like unloaded her rifle, and is like stowing it in a case, and she has lit a cigarette and is like smoking as she's putting it away, and the other woman is like just completely looking bored, like she's leaning back, the gun's leaning against the walkway next to her, and she's completely involved in AR. And you can kind of tell by some of her movements that she's like playing a game or something. Nice. And the other guy looks disappointed and is like sitting down with his back against the external wall, with his legs out and crossed. The rifle is kind of slung in his hands, and his head's down like he's trying to fall asleep or something. And you work your way by. On the way by, Jax, Bishop looks up and makes eye contact again, and says, "I'm Bishop."
Jax, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Look, you
Your
seem
jacket's
a little...
fantastic.
Thanks. You're pretty confident walking in here like you did.
Well, thank you. You know, when you know you got nothing to worry about, you got nothing to worry about, right?
I'm impressed you thought you had nothing to worry about.
I figured you were a professional. I mean, you certainly seem it.
I try. But as I guess one professional to another, be a little more careful. Like, you were walking right down the lanes of fire. You were sitting ducks.
Like I said, you seem professional. You didn't seem like you were going to start something unnecessarily.
Yeah. You don't know what's necessary and what's not always. And I'd hate to see someone as pretty as you get shot up.
Well, thank you. I like to think I'm a good judge of character. I'll pull out a business card. If you ever want to give me a call.
Thanks. And she...
How quaint.
she
Please, no, mine is much more modern.
Right. So yours is like blank, but like in AR is like Jax.
Right.
So she
Nice.
she like stuffs it in a pocket and says, "See what we can do." And like looks down again. It does look like she almost wants to say something else, but is like on the edge of like not saying it. Like she's holding back something.
Because I'm an investigative reporter, I can get information once a session.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just going to sort of give her that pause and that interested look, and
She says, 50-50 it's going to happen now. But before you walked in, we were getting ready to hit you.
good to know.
And she like sends you like a picture in AR of a like an array of surveillance photos of the hub, not of the hub, but of Clockwork 5 from a couple of different angles. And it's kind of marked up with little notes about where the SUVs were going to go and lanes of fire to storm it.
Okay. Just so you know, we weren't. You. It's all in good faith on our end. Just in case you've got spy.
Yeah, as long as I get paid, I'll do a job.
Sure, I understand.
You keep that one under your hat, I'd appreciate it. And she kind of looks embarrassed at herself that she broached that that professional confidentiality thing, and so she kind of like goes back to making sure her gun is stowed.
I'll sort of lean in a little conspiratorially, but not make it obvious to people who are watching. I'm like, please, professional courtesy. I don't reveal sources.
And she smiles at that.
And I will give her a wink and continue on.
Perfect. All right.
When I walk by, I'm gonna be like, you should have asked her out.
Like, give me a card, dude.
I wasn't talking to Jax. I was talking to the lady.
Oh, you better.
I was talking to Bishop.
She kind of looks at you and says, yeah, I haven't decided if I'm going to kill you yet. And I think that might sour the deal.
I doubt it. I'm kind of a dick. Have a
Come
good
on,
day.
J5.
And she, yeah, she ignores you at that point as you're walking away.
Winning the hearts of all the ladies. Nailed it.
And so you then go past them, and downstairs that air of tension is gone, and Boone isn't even like standing anywhere near the guns on the ground. He's off talking to the other guys in the corner, and doesn't give you guys even a second glance as you walk your way out. However, the other guy, Quist, looks really relieved, and he's like has his bag up and over his shoulder, and he's like on his way like towards the door just in front of you guys.
I make sure to pick up all of our shit.
Yeah. You actually have to spend some time finding the guns that Bishop kicked down because they weren't like
That's fair.
with all the other ones.
That's
But
fair.
you take a few minutes and you kind of search around, and Boone is watching you and smoking. Like he's watching you look for the guns, and smoking a cigarette.
Every time I found one, I'll be like, "Oh look, I found one," and stick up my middle finger. Oh, that's not it. Sorry, wrong one. Yeah, there we go. Oh, there's another one. This one's a double barrel. Oh.
I do my best to ignore this person I've never met before.
On the upside, if this eventually does go south, they're going to murder J5 first.
Oh, I'm
true.
so dead. I'm so very dead. I totally know this. Okay, so yeah, that's that. Sorry.
All right.
guys.
So from that point, you get back out on the street. You're fine. Quist is walking away, Do you want to flag him down for anything, or do you want to let him go?
I'll flag him down. Yeah, I'd like to check up on people that have helped in the past. Excuse me.
He walks back over to you, and actually, he doesn't. He looks back at the building that you're standing in front of, and he walks just a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
And about halfway down the next block, he stops and leans against the wall and kind of looks in your direction.
I scurry up and ask him for a light for my non-existent cigarettes.
He lights your non-existent cigarette.
Oh, fantastic.
And then says, "Oh, Sebastian, if I'd known you were the target, I wouldn't have gone."
I appreciate that.
Okay.
How are you? Fallen in with the wrong crowd?
Yeah, things are tight. We needed the money, and the money was really good.
Of course.
Turns out, Ethan had a little bit of a genetic abnormality, and Chaos Bleeds took care of that. But now I'm on the hook.
I understand.
So-
It's difficult to be on the hook. But you do what you must, don't you?
Always. If I can give you a heads up if something happens, I'll try.
Oh, well, I'd appreciate that. They don't want to come after the hub anyhow. They really don't.
I think you'd be surprised.
Oh, well. I've seen a lot, you know. But I really appreciate you letting my little toy through. And my friends.
Least I could do.
You ever find yourself stuck? You or your husband or Ethan, you just come find me. See what we can do. And we won't keep you on the hook.
Thanks, Sebastian.
Oh, anytime. Take care. I
He
scurry
does.
back over to the rest of you.
And he picks up his duffel bag and keeps on walking. All right. So where are you guys headed next?
Oh, whew.
I have a question for you. What was the security specialist's name?
The guy.
Did we get it?
Alice?
Alice. That's right. It was Alice.
Yeah, Alice Acidburn. Yep.
Alice Acidburn. Got it. Thank you.
Sure. Cool.
She's a contact now in my book.
Nice. Good. Excellent. Okay, so at that point, Alice tries really hard to hack you guys and find out where you're going.
No, Alice, no.
So you have your clever roll of 6. That's going to be my difficulty. I am going to try and open her character sheet. I don't know why that's not. Oh, it's because I already have it open. All right. She has a stunt that gives her a +2 when she tries to sneakily overcome obstacles like your firewall. And she is going to give that a try. So we've got sneaky with a +2. Not even close. 4 outs. She has a free invoke on the spider's lair that she's going to use, but it's not enough unless worth rerolling. Yeah, I'll use it for a reroll instead.
I'm going to head to my apartment
Oh, okay, cool.
just to kind of buy us a little leeway here.
All right, that sounds good. Let me do that again with the 2.
Could always go to my apartment.
Aha, that's
God
better.
Damn it, Alice.
Nice. So on a tie,
Balls.
she gets a boost, but she doesn't necessarily succeed. So let's see. I'm going to give her the boost that is on their trail. Now, actually, you know what? Instead of that, I'm not going to give her the boost. Instead, what I'm going to do is take a minor boost against you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my counters that you can't see, and I'm going to increase one of them.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is a mechanic I stole from Blades in the Dark, and I freaking love it. Cool. Okay, nice. All right, so she searches for you, and she makes a really good attempt at it. She gets finds your firewall, and she makes a fair amount of noise, like finding your firewall. She can't breach it, so you lose her, but she raises a little bit of a ruckus in the attempt. Cool. All right, so you're going to Lee's apartment. All right, so Lee's apartment. We haven't really seen Lee's apartment yet.
Our apartments are dropping like flies. Is the
I
problem?
know.
Totally true. And
No,
this
the
one's
last review is what's his face was trashing it.
That
yes.
son of a bitch.
Yep. Pascal. Right.
Right.
So, I did have a question I wanted to ask before we get to your apartment, and that question is, what other sorts of work has Lee done artistically? Like, what are some other works that you've done in the world? Can you give me like one or two?
Let's see.
I also did a little research on Bansky, by the way, because of your name after last time. That's some really neat stuff.
Yeah. I'm going to say at one point she flooded one of the larger corporation buildings along, so the water ran along the outside, where she had it programmed to run different images ranging from acts of violence to things growing to things rotting, like one of those, this big dramatic piece that forced everyone to pay attention because, it was flooding an entire city block.
Nice.
Smaller scales, she has a lotus tag that often is, in some small part of larger pieces of work that she
Okay.
basically wherever she can get to.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Perfect. And the other question I had for you specifically was, your trouble is, how can I not?
Yeah.
And I'm having trouble coming up with things to tempt you with. So what sort of things would Lee find tempting?
Lee likes to have the last word.
Okay. Cool.
Particularly if it can be done artistically and with statement, but sometimes, let's just say there's a reason why she and J5 get along.
All right. So in a situation like we were just in, when you were leaving, I might have been able to compel you to make an artistic statement about Chaos Bleeds on the way out.
Oh no.
I'm not
Yes.
doing that. I'm just saying that's a good example of what could have happened.
Oh my god. That would be
Yeah.
great.
Something along that line, yeah.
Okay, cool. Because everyone else, I've got a kind of a good handle on how I would compel them, and I'm struggling a little bit with Bansky, or Lee. So, cool. Thank you for that. All right, so you go to your apartment. What does your apartment look like? Or what does your apartment normally look like?
It normally looks like a mattress on the floor and canvases in every direction. There's just paint everywhere. The place is a mess. It's like before anyone gets to it, the place is a mess.
Excuse me.
I think there's just a whole wall with various shades of paint, mostly in spray cans, along with probably whatever home setup she had for accessing AR stuff.
Nice. Okay. I want there to be one piece of art in your apartment that had really strong personal significance to you. What is it?
Probably a very elaborate piece featuring the lotus.
Okay, cool. Is that like in AR or is it a physical?
I think it's both.
Nice.
I think the initial, and it is a large, we'll say like an 8 by 8 foot canvas, but it's overlaid so it has depth. Maybe like you can move to different angles, and you can see it, dying on from one angle, and the other angle it's it's brilliant and full of life, and maybe even from other angles there's words involved.
Nice. Cool. I love it. Okay. So you come up to your apartment, and you come up to the front door, and the door's been clearly broken open. Someone has taken a crowbar to it and just like levered the crap out of it. And it looks like it took them a little while, and they got frustrated, just started hitting the door a couple of times. It's just a dented, sort of scuffed up mess. And it someone had kind of closed it and did a half-assed job of trying to get it to close, and it just opens when you touch it, and it kind of creaks open. And inside, all of your walls have been painted black. Not with any sort of elaborateness, just someone took black paint and just splashed it everywhere in these big swaths. And the AR piece that is in the middle of the fixture of the lotus has been vandalized. And now instead of showing like the lotus in real life, it's cracked and pitted where it's been like hammered on. And in AR, it's like a skull on one bit that kind of turns and becomes a like a screeching face, and then it turns a little bit more and it becomes a like a dead animal, and then on the last bit it's words that just say sell out, sell out, sell out, sell out, sell out.
Why did I ever sleep with this guy? He's the most uncreative piece of shit ever. Like, seriously, what lack of imagination do you have to just paint everything black? And oh no. Oh, my feelings are so terribly hurt. Oh, Jesus.
Nice.
I'm sorry. This guy's a dick.
Know, what you need to explain to these people is that if someone is a sellout, it's because they have something worth selling. Unreal.
Well played.
Well, considering he was trying to pass my work off as his, I would say that I'm really not concerned with his opinions on anything.
Nice.
I'm very sorry about your apartment.
At least there's not a dead body in it or on fire.
Well, we haven't searched
that's
all the rooms yet.
better than average.
We haven't searched all the rooms
At this point,
yet.
I might just set it on fire.
Fuck this place.
I mean, it's got to be kind of embarrassing to do something so derivative, like directed at you, though, Lee. I mean, just saying.
I mean, he really must have some terrible self-esteem issues if he really feels the need to go, like, in such a derogatory and, I don't know, easy?
Wait, so this guy was just mad about not being part of whatever you got going on, right?
Yeah.
This guy's a fucking bitch. I'm glad we burned him.
Yeah, and I think that, don't think that I'm done burning him.
Oh, I'll help. I will help you.
Nice.
I'm just gonna collect whatever paint is salvageable out of here.
Okay.
I don't think she has a whole lot of pieces of personal, like, I don't think she kept a lot of her life here after a point.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm gonna check my list of bad stuff to have happen to players. Give me just a second.
I'm gonna take some film just in case we want to do a piece on like really bad, like, bad art review.
Since you're doing it, I'm going to go into excruciating detail, like, as an expert.
Oh yes, absolutely. We'll give you a nice little Chiron on the bottom and everything.
And explain all of the failings of this gentleman and why his work is just the worst.
While you guys are distracted, Sebastian's gonna root through your fridge. He's starving.
Cool. How
There's nothing nutritional in there.
These are terrible choices.
how concerned is Lee with how people see her work? Is she someone who would keep track of how people are regarding it overall, or someone who doesn't care about that stuff?
I think it's more important to have that people react.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily have to be good or bad. It's about evoking emotion. So
Perfect. Cool. All right. So, one of the things I was considering putting in the setting is one of the things you can do in AR is currently you can like tag a location in AR, and you can like leave reviews of restaurants and stuff, and anyone who goes by with AR can see that. I was thinking about this idea that some of the works that you have done and that other artists have done have sort of developed that sort of following, where the work is there physically in an AR, and then other people like leave comments on it. And sometimes it's anonymous and sometimes it's sourced, but you can go to these major workings and you can kind of get a feeling for how people are responding to it by what they leave in that place as they walk by.
yeah,
Does that sound like something that Lee would pay attention to?
sure. Like I said, it's about the reaction. So she's not probably gonna like negative or positive, it's all interesting to her. So
Okay. Cool. So what I picture is that some people will take those and kind of assign to them an emotional value. So so feedback without context can be difficult to use meaningfully. But if you can gauge what the feedback has for emotional content, you can kind of gauge whether it's a sad post or an angry post or a happy one, and they kind of give it scores based on the emotional content, and then aggregate those scores over time. So you can like have a thing and see, well, most people are sad, or some people are angry, or some people didn't, have a strong feeling about it whatsoever. So one of the things I'm thinking is that as you're kind of keeping track of those things, you do find that someone is leaving feedback on some of those things that is just as petty and uncreative as destroying your apartment. So that's showing up in places, and you're not really paying attention to that. But you also see that someone else is leaving pretty insightful comments and is putting a tag in there that is like, it's not your lotus, it's not like a pirate of your lotus, but it's like I'm not a flower person. What's another cool flower?
Lilac.
It's a lilac, but it's like in the style of homage of yours. And the things that this person is posting is insightful and thoughtful, and clearly getting what you're coming from. And there's like it's clearly a pattern. This person is like touring the things that you've left around town and is hitting them systematically. And so is the person who's leaving negative comments. And you can kind of look at the body of your work laid across the city, overlaid like a map, and you can kind of see how these people are wandering through the city, engaging with your art, and you can tell that sometime pretty soon they're probably going to come into each other.
that would be interesting.
Hell of a slap fight.
Boom.
I could set up a flag for when that happens. We can watch it,
Yeah, let's do that.
or at least be there if you want.
Let's be there because I would really like to have a conversation.
All right,
Our
I'll try to
friend's
set that
brain
up.
is dying, but let's not forget to be.
Come on, Sebastian. It's all about humanity, and being petty is sometimes part of it.
We are
See, that's-
multitaskers.
Oh, completely understand. Completely understand.
Nice.
But
Anything
yeah,
else?
once we're done with Jax's report, we're pretty much just gonna head on. Especially once I feel confident that everything is held up and we don't have to worry about being followed.
Perfect. Cool. All right. So, what's next? Back to the hub?
Yes.
Yeah, we need to at least stabilize.
So I think the next step, the next priority then, since we have some information on what we need to do, the next step is there's two things we need to worry about, all right? So like we need to worry about money and keeping things flowing for the hub, so as not to let can't remember that guy's name. KO'd?
KO'd. Yep, KO'd.
I don't want to let that guy down. He's all business, but like it's good business with him. I like him. That's the thing we need to worry about. And then the next thing, we also need to investigate cloning labs and maybe set up a job. And maybe actually one of the things we can do there is sort of a dual purpose. Maybe we can go there to get the brain and also steal some information and sell it. What are people's thoughts?
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, doesn't Sebastian have an identity that could get us into the corporation that deals with them?
Into Leandre?
Yeah.
Can't hear it, but he's nodding.
Yes, yes, I'm sorry.
Nice. Okay, so hub for planning, unless anyone wants to stop anywhere else on the way.
Sebastian absolutely insists they pull through some sort of food place
Nice.
because he was completely discouraged by what was in your fridge. But other than that, yes.
What is cyberpunk fast food like?
Well, it's Chinese, isn't it?
Yeah, sounds good.
Nice.
It's
Perfect.
got that bright neon takeaway boxes.
Yeah, why don't we have drive-through Chinese? That's awesome. Okay. Yeah.
This is a
That's
really
a
good
thing.
idea.
Yeah.
$1 million idea, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Now I want Chinese.
Me
So,
too.
The 3. Son of a bitch.
I'll
So
be back.
Drive
I'm gonna get some
through-
Chinese food.
so from there, you head back to the hub, and so we'll say it's like it's early evening at this point. We'll say that you went like maybe the next day. Otherwise, it's this long night that never ends. And the Clockwork 5 isn't really busy, just a little bit. And as you're going in, soon that guy who's usually in the corner is not there. Kaode is at his normal post by the door, and he just kind of makes eye contact and nods as you all walk by. You head into the back and you head on down to the hub. The doors to the hub open and lights start to flicker on as you approach, and that's not it. As you're walking in, your AR kind of fitzes just a little bit of static around the edges, and standing in the middle of the hub near that column of monitors is Sigma, and she's dressed in like heavy-duty combat fatigues with an Atlas security patch. She's wearing a helmet, and she's spattered with blood up to her elbows, and she's looking around her in horror at something that you can't see. And for a moment in the background, like the hub goes away, and you can see the favelas around her and smoke in the distance, and this memory of dismembered corpses surrounding her. And you have this visceral like sense memory of ripping them apart with your bare hands, and at the same time hoping that they were enemies and not innocents. And then your AR sort of glitches again, and you're just standing in the hub with the lights coming on.
Did everyone?
Yeah. Let's get her a brain.
I hurry over to where we've got her stored and immediately start stabilizing it.
Okay. Cool. Using what you've learned, it's pretty easy. You think those sort of random discharges might still occur, but hopefully, now that it's stabilized, it shouldn't be doing any damage. You should be in a better spot to keep her and to work on bringing her back. So I'm going to advance the bring Sigma back counter by 1 for getting the information from Chaos Bleeds. And I'm going to advance decode the Exocortex by 1 because you decoded some of the stuff that was in Lee's head. Cool. Okay. So now that you are here, you were. Is there anything? Oh, I have one other thing I wanted to have randomly happen, and that is your news catching program. Jax comes up with a couple new interesting headlines. It communicates to you that that Nakatomi Telecommunications has opened up the Mishima salvage security contract for bids, replacing Atlas on the job.
Okay.
And unrelated news that Nakatomi executive Graham Wyrick has been temporarily suspended, pending an investigation into allegations of misappropriation of corporate funds.
Interesting.
And in that case, the story goes on to say that at this point, the investigation is strictly internal. They are not asking for municipal support at this time, and there's no discussion of charges being filed officially. They're handling it as an in-house thing, but he is a high-level Nakatomi employee who's now in some degree of disfavor.
Is that your guy? Jax?
That name rings a bell. Why does that name ring a bell? Thank you.
Yep. So it rings a bell because that was the name that Sigma and J5 extracted from the goon in the hallway.
Right.
Right.
He was in some way connected with Project Slaughterhouse.
I won't cry to see him go down. But I'm surprised they're being as public about it as they are.
Well, I mean, I suppose they have to be public if this guy is really high up, to a certain degree.
Yeah, or you arrange a car crash, you know? It seems I guess I'm surprised that it's public enough to get him out, at least temporarily, and not big enough problem to get rid of him entirely.
I suppose.
I'll put some extra news alerts on Nakatomi, that guy, and just kind of try to put feelers out.
Okay.
I would also like to Google stalk Bishop. Lately, but you know.
Cool.
Just essentially try to find her Facebook page.
Yeah. You find her cyber Facebook page. So in the same places where you were looking for Sigma before, in sort of those indexes of people who operate in the shadow economy of the Bosswash Metroplex, you find her, and she's got a very solid reputation for being a reliable street soldier. That the rumor is that she has some corporate military training, and that she left that and has been operating in the shadow economy for a couple of years. That once you pay her for something, she's pretty good at it. That she's has good discipline. That she's good in the firefight. But she is largely dismissive of the people she works with. So if you don't hit her standards, then you don't really count.
Damn.
Yeah, she sounds awesome.
The only other negative note in any of the reviews is that if you want something shot, or something guarded, or something potentially shot, she's a good choice. If it has any degree of sophistication with technology, she is not the person you want.
She's after my own heart, indeed. Cool.
Cool.
She should work for us.
Agree, as soon as we have money.
Well, I mean, I guess I'd have to leave the team.
Never, come on.
Sorry about that. I think I burned that bridge.
She's a professional.
I'm not.
If you're one of her employers, then she won't shoot you.
I don't know. She kicked my guns.
You kind of had that one coming.
Listen.
I didn't say it.
I'm not. I'm just saying, had the positions been reversed, you would have kicked hers.
I wouldn't have done that at all.
That was convincing. That was good.
Thank you. I'm an actor. I'm an actor, as they say. Broadway, here I come. Let's go.
Nice. So the other thing that's waiting for you as you get back to the hub is that Sin has gotten back to you, Lee. And she, or he, they? Do we ever give them a gender? It was a skeleton in a top hat, but I don't think we really determined a gender.
They is fine.
They have gotten back to you and given you a bunch of information. What it breaks down to is that there is a Blue Sun, not front, but like there's a Blue Sun presence in the Bosswash Metroplex. That isn't the corporate headquarters. It's one of the smaller business entities related to it that has the sort of full body prosthetic that you were asking about. And they give you enough information that you know, like where it's located. You got the basics of the situation, enough that you can make you could do a job to get that if you wanted to. You were also discussing possibly doing a job targeting one of the corporations directly. Specifically, I think it was it Leandri? For yeah, it was probably Leandri to try and get a clone body.
Yeah, so we talked to Jenny Avison
Right.
about clone technology or Jackson.
No, we
Jackson
talked about Maggie. We talked with Maggie Hertzfeld, who recommended that we talk to Jenny Addison.
Right, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. Well done.
Right.
Terrible.
So you're here at the hub, and as you are putting the possibilities of the jobs up, and you're kind of creating these workspaces for each of the jobs, we're going to enter a sort of mechanical place where we're going to plan the job that you're going to go into.
Okay.
So when we're planning a job, what you need to define for me is what the score is, like what you're trying to accomplish. And whatever you're trying to accomplish, we'll define it narratively as we're trying to get a body or we're trying to get a clone brain or whatever. And then we're going to link that to progress on a counter and possibly progress on a secondary counter. So you're going to say, like, we're going to do a job against Blue Sun to get a body, and that's going to advance the save Sigma counter, and it's going to possibly advance the Fund Anarchy counter. The bigger the opposition, the more the payoff, the more likely the payoff is going to be big. So if you're targeting a small dealership with a job, the payoff will be fairly small. If you're targeting a corporation, it's going to be much harder, but the payoff will be larger as well. So you're going to tell me what the score is. You're going to tell me who you're going to run against, and you're going to tell me physically, like, what is the physical location that you're going to hit. And you guys get to kind of define that.
Yeah, I think we need to discuss it first.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So assume this is that moment in every heist movie where you have these workstations that are just full of surveillance and information, and you put some time into gathering it, and you have what information you need available to plan. And then you're going to tell me what sort of problems you think are there and how you're going to overcome them. Generally, you're also going to tell me kind of what the overall approach is. Are you going to be clever and try and, like, find a way to overcome all these things logistically? Are you going to be careful and really focus on not getting caught over pretty much everything else, even though it might take more time? You're going to be sneaky so that you might, like, not leave any fingerprints behind. Oh, sorry. So careful would be like not leaving any trace behind, and sneaky would be you might leave a trace behind, but you're not going to trigger any alarms in that moment. Forceful is like breaking and entering a kidnapping or assassination. Quick is like a hit or run sort of scenario where you're just going to quickly try and, like, blitz in, or you can do a flashy, like, mid broad day stick up. And that approach is also going to be what you roll to see how much of a payoff you get at the end. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool. And then after you've defined what the job is, everyone's going to get one opportunity to do some legwork for the job. And you're going to describe what you're going to do, and that's either going to be creating an advantage, it's going to be learning something about the target, or if you don't want to do that, you can take that downtime, that legwork time, to work on one of your personal projects, and we'll have you roll to advance a counter. If you feel like you need additional legwork actions, you can do that, but we're going to keep track of that as heat. And if your heat counter fills, then the job is blown. Failing on rolls might advance your heat counter. Stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Neat. Yes.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to share a document that has that stuff sort of outlined in it in James speak. If it doesn't make sense, let me know.
El job. It's Spanish.
El Jabo.
Oh,
I
cool.
got you.
Yeah, all that stuff makes sense.
Nice. So, yeah. So discuss what you want to do.
All right. I don't have to go first, but I'm the loudest. So
Go for it.
So part of me feels like we need to figure out what Sigma wants, and I'm scared to even pose that question. But I guess my question for Lee is, is she more stable now? Can we talk to her, or is it gonna be worse for her if we try to speak with her?
She's stable now, and I don't think that speaking to her will do her any harm. I can't say to how long or how well we can speak with her, though.
So keep it short.
Yeah.
The reason I want to speak to her is we have two options for a, as cold as this sounds, a receptacle. For her, we have the full body prosthetic option, or we could try for the clone brain.
Well, actually, they're kind of all one thing. We need the clone brain in order to interact with Exocortex, and right now I think our only option is a prosthetic body.
Right, because
we have both in order to get her functioning.
Right, the prosthetic won't go bad.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense. That clears up my issue. I think we should go for the full body prosthetic.
Yeah, I figure we go for that first, and then we can see about getting the brain.
That was going to be my question, so thank you, Lee.
Because as G5 says, the body's not going to go bad.
Right, so is that a Blue Sun thing then? Getting a body that complicated?
Yeah. Sin says that if we go to this location, we can find ourselves a prosthetic that is what we're looking for.
I guess the next question is there is there a way for us to make money from this job as well? I mean, it's going to add more difficulty, but we're poor. We've been,
there may be tech there that we could sell off if we were trying to grab multiple things.
Well, maybe I can get to a database, just something like a closed-off server that wouldn't be necessarily be on the net. Like maybe I could find their data. I don't know. I'll have to look around. I'll do some looking around if we get close to it. Sound good?
Sounds good.
We'll find something while we're in there, I'm sure.
All right. So that's the job.
Yep. So the score is a full body prosthetic. The opposition is Blue Sun. And the target is a Blue Sun sales facility. Cool. What's your approach?
So depending on how subtle we want to go with this, you said a sales facility, right?
Yep. Unless you want it to be something different. If you've got a really killer plan, then this is a place where like my control over the game backs off a little bit to be collaborative storytelling. So if you rather would raid a warehouse, I'm cool.
Well, I was thinking that maybe something we could possibly do is go in as someone who's actually interested in buying. Run a distraction, like one or two of us run distraction while the rest of us get what we need. Like we'd be able to open up doors, that kind of thing.
Would we be committing the classic blunder of splitting the party?
I mean, can we ever really split the party?
Good point. Good point. Well said. I like you. You can sit by me.
I'm not opposed to this idea. I had a thought that finding a body, it's going to be difficult to move that body once we have it. And I'm not sure if it's going to require special equipment or what. But that being said, if the body was already en route to somewhere else, we could merely transport it back to the hub. And no one would be the wiser. So perhaps some sort of vehicle interception.
Ooh. Hey, J5,
might be better.
I think you might be able to fake a sale?
That's really hard to do. That's really, really hard to do. And simply because every corporation has a credit section, like they're really, really good about their finances. I might be able to do it. Maybe. If I was lucky.
They're good, but they're not great. And I really, really believe in you.
Maybe they have demos.
I was about to ask, actually. I mean, there's the whole fake a test drive with a car thing from back in the day. You know, you send a pretty girl to pretend to be the person from the the car place who goes on the ride with you, and there's that. Like, what sort of demos do they give for full body prosthetics? Like, is there a test drive?
I don't know. I'll find out. Beep boop bop boop beep.
Do you want there to be?
I want there to be. I'm not sure what we'll do with it, but yes.
So the technology to be able to take a body for a test drive doesn't quite exist because it's not that easy to like switch your
Hook
brain.
your brain up to it, yeah.
But what they can do is they can offer like a virtual reality experience where they set it up and they set you up with like a virtual reality AR sort of thing and some of the sensory feedback similar to what you record and project, so you can kind of experience it.
Does it make the body walk around?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so you can see it moving in the world and...
Yep, and you can actually touch things, and it's not like fully like possessing it, so it's not going to be the same level of tactile acuity and everything, but totally you get a sense of walking through the world in that body.
So here's the horrible question.
I can't wait.
Can we go to the place, take the quote unquote virtual reality tour, and then kill everyone with the body?
Well, so your body would still be there.
I know.
So you're going to go into a room and you're going to sit down and they're going to hook you in and then you're going to walk the body somewhere.
They must have fail safes.
Yeah, probably.
I can
How are you
break
going to
those.
overcome them? Right.
Can you hack the body? Can part of the distraction be you're walking around and then there's a glitch or something? I mean, in an ideal world, we'd just walk it out into a van and take off, right?
We'll just hold its hand. Yeah, we're going to the park, little body.
Nice.
I mean, I imagine there's, you can't use their little auto drive past a certain point, and it probably has some sort of tracking thing on it. But, if we're in there pretending to buy one, legitimately walking it around, is that something that you tech people can override? Just to walk it a little further?
Here's the thing, and here's my theory. My theory is that they would have it in a secure room that can't go anywhere. Like there's not gonna be anything in this room like except for a bucket, like a cube that you can pick up and throw, whatever. My guess is that it would be, I don't know.
Can we fake someone really rich who wants to have a real experience and is willing to pay a lot of money for this? I mean, they're salespeople, right?
That we can do, yeah.
I mean, if we're dealing with salespeople.
I believe in us. We can make this happen. We have a Sebastian on our side. We have
I
a
saw this movie. Hang on.
We have a Jax on our side. She'll kill everything that gets in the way.
I'd love to point out the fact that we didn't just, no one here suggested just sneaking in the middle of the night to take this thing, because we all know better. We all know each other better. That doesn't work.
I'm not very sneaky.
Subtle is not how we do things.
No.
No, it's really, really not.
Okay. So it sounds like the plan is that you're going to go in, like you're going to make a purchase. You're going to convince them of your cover, that you're a very famous person. You're going to get them to let you take a VR tour. You're then going to convince them to let you walk it out of the building. And then you're going to walk the body into an actual ambush where someone can grab it. Someone has to defeat the tracking technology and shut it down. Then back in the room, you're going to have to convince them that you're innocent, and then you're going to have to leave the building.
Well, when you put it like that, it does sound insane.
That's
Well, so I'm sort of subconsciously planning for the thing to break down as soon as the body starts leaving, and we're just gonna have to shoot our way out.
Sure. Can you make the body at least appear to be bugged? Like, then it turns into an argument of this stupid thing broke, and that could serve as some distraction. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, how much of a distraction we need and at what point? Like, do we need to get the body out the building and then have something horribly go awry? Is that what we're looking for?
That I could definitely do.
Well, I mean, I think think if they miss the part where the body gets stolen, at least for that initial, we grab the body and put it in a van part or whatever, I think that might be a good, just for whoever is in the building and still needs to get out.
Just because, you know, the building right across the way might be a really good place to put an art installation that may have a fairly wide-reaching, possibly catastrophic for any particular body that's going for a walk kind of effect.
I think that would be wonderful.
And, you know, they could write it off on their insurance as, you know, random art damage.
Well, hell,
I'm sure it
I mean,
happens all the time.
here's another option. How about we find the most corrupt dude in there and pay him with money that's not ours?
So
Do we have money to pay him?
This
No.
is spiraling rapidly out of control.
So I like the plan you guys have.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Give me a second.
Do you?
Make it look like environmental hazards interfered with the body's operation. Okay, so here's the thing. There's this game, Blades in the Dark, and I refer to it a lot because it's really like my go-to standard for heists like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to assume that whatever plan you guys just came up with is going to work. But it's going to work with complications. It's going to take some rolls, and there's going to be friction, and there's going to be weird things that happen along the way that you're going to have to problem solve and troubleshoot. But the plan, as you just outlined it, is going to work basically. Because 80 hours of planning to end up driving the van right through the front door is exactly the sort of thing we don't want to follow. So we're going to keep the planning kind of fast and loose because that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is doing it, seeing what goes wrong, and responding to it.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
love you.
That makes sense to me. I like
Yes.
Awesome. So the plan is
Also
that you're going to
keeps
go in
us
to
on
make a
track.
sale. You're going to convince them that you are rich and famous. You're going to convince them to let you take a VR tour. You're gonna
Sebastian.
convince them to let you take it for a walk. You're going to walk the body out into a predetermined location. You're going to make it look like an environmental hazard has interfered with the body's operation. You're going to defeat the tracking technology. And then you're going to flee the scene. And then meanwhile, inside, you're going to have to convince them that you had nothing to do with that weird stuff that just happened. And you're going to have to leave the building. Along the way,
That sounds like the loose end.
it is a little bit. You got this. I got faith in you.
that look on his face. Oh my god. He's like, I'm so gonna screw you guys. It's gonna be wonderful.
It's going to be fun. Okay. So does that look like the plan you guys want to try?
Actually, it does.
Yeah.
I like that plan.
Cool.
So I'm thinking, Sebastian, you're the man going in. Lee, you're his lovely wife. I know, it's role playing, right? Anyway, Jax and I are bodyguards. Because you're rich and you're famous. And you need bodyguards.
The richest.
Does it make sense?
Yes.
Does that
So-
work? Is it stupid?
I mean, do we need someone to actually steal a body outside?
Physically grabbing the body, how is that working?
Oh, right.
And you need someone to defeat the tracking technology out there too.
Yeah.
And it sounds like maybe you need Lee to do the environmental hazard, if that's going to be an art in placement.
All right, Sebastian, you're on your own. We'll all be outside.
Very well. Play a
So
rogue next.
nice. Okay, so you definitely, I think, need Lee and one other person outside. You could probably send one person in with Sebastian.
If you want some company, I'll go in with you, Sebastian.
Most likely. Thank you.
Okay, so we've got team go in and we've got team outside. Team outside is going to do the actual grabbing, the defeating.
The
and-
body snatching.
Yeah. And the environmental hazard. And team inside is going to have to talk their way in and then talk their way out.
I feel better having the Terminator with me.
Yeah.
What I could probably do is
Dun, dun, dun.
get everything set up ahead of time and then launch the piece when we need it. But I can still be in a place that we can, you know, be in the van and go with the body.
Nice.
Yeah, so with the 80 hours of planning, like lots of gentle probing of all their systems, getting familiar with how it works, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Totally. So that is going to be the 8 hours. 80 hours is going to be your footwork actions. I think that's what I called it.
Legwork?
Legwork. There we go. And so if that's what you want to do for your legwork time, then go ahead and roll to do so, and I will oppose.
What would you like me to roll, sir?
Well, are you doing it carefully? Or are you doing it like quickly or cleverly? Like how? What's your approach when you're doing something like this?
Careful.
All right, so give me some careful.
This is prep time. Oh, crap.
I'll resist with my target. Uses its technology to resist intrusion.
You know, James, you have the option to not resist.
I do. But
this is on you, man.
I withhold my consent, and
oh my god. Okay. Well, fuck. Wait. I have a stunt.
Oh, wait, I'm looking up the wrong.
The stunt is, I know this system. Can I?
Do you feel like you know Blue Sun system?
Of course I do. I woke up in a flashbang place. I've been there. That was a Blue Sun facility, I'm pretty sure.
It might have been Atlas. You don't know, or the association. So I'm going to say no. You're not familiar with the system.
But I just spent 80 hours on it.
You did.
All right, that's fair.
Spend some fate points and some other stuff.
You're legit. All right.
So you got to say no to the familiar at some point.
Yeah, I know. Let's see here.
But spend those fate points. It's nearing the end of the session.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only got 2 left. All right, so we're gonna use Rogue IT Expert.
Boom. Are you going to get a +2 or are you going to reroll?
Let's see. How do I look at my rolls? Let's see. Mouse over it.
Yeah.
I must have rolled super low.
Yeah,
Blank, blank, 0, blank.
Yep. So that's negative, negative, 0, negative. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna re-roll.
Good call. All right, Rogue IT Expert works, and there you go.
Okay, so
Much better.
it's still not quite enough, but
Oh. So you can succeed at a major cost, and I'll let you succeed, but I will advance the heat counter by 2. Or you can spend a fate point to succeed totally. But you have to find another aspect to invoke. And use your last fate point.
can I use my integrated interactive computer interface
Totally can. That sounds good.
to make things faster? Because hardwire.
Yeah, that works for me.
Boom. Last fate point gone.
Cool. So we'll call that pwned their systems.
Yeah, totally owned it, barely.
Totally owned it. And you're going to have 1 free invoke on that when the time comes. So yep, you've done your legwork. You now you're familiar with the system. And you have a fate point that you can spend when you're dealing with their system going forward. Boop. Okay, cool. And cool. Sebastian, what are you doing for your downtime? Or your your footloose action?
Sebastian is very carefully crafting himself a persona.
Perfect.
He is a long lost coffee baron of the island of Kiribati. And let's see. He's recently come out of exile. And geez, I don't really know. What else is here? Anything interesting?
Why do you need a body prosthetic?
Right.
Why does he need a prosthetic? Seaweed poisoning. He's got this slow-acting. Why does he need a body prosthetic?
He's eaten too many jellyfish.
Family member in a tragic accident. You're getting it for them.
Yeah, I can swing that. That makes more sense. They ate too many jellyfish.
So we'll need probably Jax to make up a fake news story detailing that.
Yep, on it.
Nice. So, what was the name of that cover ID?
What is the name of the cover ID? You mean the person? I'm sorry.
The name.
Oh yeah, your name. Yep, the name that you're going to be going as.
How about Baron? Yeah, I don't know. An oceanic name. I'm looking. Hang on.
Oh, take your time.
I'm not sure. Can you guys think of a good name?
Dallas.
Dallas?
Dallas. It means it's
Dallas.
Hebrew. It means drawing water.
Perfect.
All right, I'm gonna butcher the spelling, but I got it.
Dalis.
Got it. All right, cool. So you're gonna roll careful. They're probably gonna look pretty closely at that one. So I'm gonna roll the technology information systems of the job for your difficulty here. So it'll be this. Ooh boy. Okay.
God damn, you're on fire tonight.
Yeah, rolling well.
Well, fortunately, because I'm a bullshit artist, I get +2 to carefully help myself when my life is on the line, and it totally fucking is here.
Sure is.
So
3 + 2 is a 5. So you can succeed at a minor cost, and I'll put 1 on the heat counter, or you can spend a fate point.
fate point it is.
All right. What aspect are you going to invoke?
Aspect of my goal. I am a high society operator. I'm really good at my job.
Yeah, you are. Perfect. All right. That puts you over the top. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not quite succeeding with style, but enough to establish that you are Baron Dallas. And you get 1 free invoke on it. Oops. Or I'm just going to put a whole other thing up there. Okay. Very good. Alrighty. And then, Jax, what's your...
I'm going to give him some background. I'm going to give him some stories about, like, oh my gosh, this super rich guy who has, like, come out of, you know, his quiet life and is now in the Boss Wash Metroplex and is, like, super, super rich and also does not, like, put up with your shit.
Nice.
And, you know, doesn't suffer fools gladly. And then also about, like, the tragic accident that befell his son, nephew. Do you have a preference?
Son is fine.
Okay. And, like, it's terribly tragic. And yes.
Love
I
it.
think I will go for clever for that. Not my strongest suit, but seems most appropriate.
Sounds good. Do it.
I want it very much to have a sort of more traditionally corporate media style and look like older pieces. You know, like he's been around for a while. Oh my goodness, this is what I get for trying to do things out of my style.
That's all right. Okay, so let's see. What do I resist that with? So I'm going to look at... I only have 3 options. Is it... I'm going to use this one because they're not going to, like, probably do a lot of research into that story. It's just whether people have heard it or not. So I'm going to use meat instead of tech. So, okay, so that's -1 to a 2. So right now you're failing.
Yeah, I'm gonna re-roll because I was a former corporate mouthpiece, so I know how that stuff works.
Perfect. Perfect. Spend the fate point and go ahead and roll.
Big money.
No whammies. There you go.
Yep. So you
Tie
tie it.
it, and
you
I'm
can-
happy to pay another fate point because I am a rogue media reporter.
Nice. Okay, that gives you the success.
Beautiful.
And the tragic backstory in the media exists with 1 free invoke. Boom. Beautiful. Okay, and Lee, what are you going to do for your down or legwork action?
I'm going to create the work for my piece of art.
Nice.
I had a cool idea.
You have a cool idea?
Yeah. Can I
Tell
see
me your
it?
cool idea.
You should sign it with the piece of shit signature.
Only
So
if
you
it's
get-
bad art.
Yeah, so he gets blamed for it.
I don't know. Is that against the code or is that okay?
No, I'm
Davy
not.
Crockett.
So what I was thinking is that I would have a very robotic appearance of his likeness,
Taming up the wild frontier.
basically printing the same piece of art over and over and over again. And when it hits the ground, and I want it to be big, when it hits the ground, it looks like shit, like literal shit.
Yay!
Nice,
But
nice.
the whole thing, like I want him, like a flame to spark in him, so the whole thing catches fire. Hence our cover.
Nice.
And then out of his freaking ashes, I want a lotus to bloom.
Oh, nice. Nice. Cool. Cool, cool, cool.
Because while I could make a statement about Blue Sun and all that fantastic stuff, I think it would be better if it looked like it was completely unassociated petty piece of work.
Cool.
Really
Cool.
well done petty piece of work.
Right. That's awesome.
I love you. You're amazing.
Nice. Okay, so
One of
what
those
you're
old-
doing now is you're laying the groundwork to be able to do that in the moment.
Yes.
So I'm thinking an aspect like prepared for greatness. And when you're preparing, do you see that as flashy? Like, it's going to be flashy when you do it for sure.
Mhm.
When you're preparing for it, do you see that as more careful, or is it like carefully, meticulously constructed, or is it more like clever genius just all over the place?
Clever genius. That's all I ever do.
Nice.
I'll be
Okay,
back
roll
real
it.
quick.
Modest too.
All right. So because this one isn't specifically interfering with the operation of the facility itself, it's just going to have a flat resistance of 2. So 4 is good. You have succeeded. So you are prepared for genius, and you have the 1 free invoke on it. Oh. Come on. There we go. Okay. Cool. And you did all that without any heat. That's great. All right. Very good. Cool. So that's everyone's actions. Does anyone want to gain heat to do another downtime action, or do you feel like you're prepared? Sounds
Would-
like you-
Would
okay.
it be worthwhile to us to plan the route to which we're escaping in?
that had crossed my mind.
So if you don't roll for it, you can just assume that you've done it, but you're not going to get a bonus in the moment. So you can assume that you have a decent one. If you're concerned about it being like heavily contested, then you can definitely get a point of heat to make the roll, and you'll have a for sure escape route with a free invoke on it if you make the roll.
I mean, we're planning ourselves a fairly impressive bit of cover. So that, I guess, is probably not a huge concern. Is there anything else we can do for Sebastian?
Are they going to run some sort of credit check to make sure I am who I am? And we're going to have, like, 5 million and a dead fly in our account, and
I mean, given that we have like 5 UN, and I don't know if the dead fly is still in the account at this point. I mean, do we think we can bluff that if you are just?
They're not gonna make a credit check just to see if he is who he is.
No.
At most, they'll check social media, or they'll do a minor background check at most. You're just doing a demo, right? You don't necessarily intend to buy. They're trying to sell you something.
that's true.
And I think the attitude just needs to be that you don't have time for that. Like, you're not going to sit around for that. Do they want to sell you this or not? Because you are happy to go to anywhere else where you don't have to put up with this bullshit.
Amen.
When you're
Yep.
the kind of guy who has a secretary for 12 years, she asks for a raise and you fire her instead.
I'm a terrible person.
I mean, yes, frankly, but a terrible, super rich person.
Yeah.
Just as a slight note, having to do with your background story, if we're getting a body for Sigma, and I don't truly think Sigma might care, wouldn't you be test driving a female model?
My daughter is very sick.
Yes. Type.
It's a minor thing, but I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
Full-size, grown-up daughter.
Well, right. I'll put some white in my bill.
Eh, Cool.
Well, this sounds like a plan that has no flaws or loose ends, or
What could go wrong, right?
it's going to be perfect.
We've got
flawless.
this in the bag.
Yep.
Have faith in us. You need to have some faith in us.
Oh, I do. I have incredible faith in all of you.
Completely blind.
Not yourself, though. I noticed that.
It's just something I've just. But you know what? Every day now is something I've never done before. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Sebastian, would you rather I go in as an assistant or a wife or what?
I think an assistant who can speak for me when I can't remember my lines might be better, don't you?
Perfect.
Beautiful. All right. So you have a plan, such as it is.
It's the best plan.
I'm excited.
Next time we play, we will go ahead and execute the plan, and we will see what goes wrong and how you deal with it, and then after that we'll kind of regroup. We'll have some stuff happen in the world, and then you can set your next plan for whatever's next.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, then we'll wrap up there for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
This was a blast as always.
This
I
is
had
a
a good
hoot.
time.
Saren, Aaron, Nate, James, thank you all for everything. This is a blast. It continues to be amazing. Thank you all very, very much for being here.
My pleasure. Can I
Thanks
throw
for
Thank
hosting.
you.
two things real quick, Rage,
Do it.
before we go?
Do it.
So I've got a friend of mine who's looking to draw up some money for some medical expenses for their child. He's a member of the LARP community, a good friend of ours, and his child has needed a couple of surgeries. They've got a GoFundMe going. Would you mind if I put that up?
Why don't you give me the link and I'll put it out? Because
Perfect.
it'll flag you.
Okay.
Or you
I'll
can
just put
drop it
in
right
the-
in the Roll20 chat and I'll copy it.
Yeah, that's
Good
cool.
man. Good deal.
That's it. Oh, don't you have a big anniversary or something coming up soon, Rage?
Maybe.
Maybe? Okay. We'll just...
I mean, I might be turning 42 on Sunday.
Boom! What? 42?
Yeah, 42. I'm old.
Damn, you old.
I am.
Answer to life, the universe, and everything, right?
Actually, oh well, I was reading. It has something to do with computer code about how 42 translates into anything.
The
If you
meaning
go
of
down
it.
far enough.
Yeah.
So life, the universe, and anything is whatever you want it to be.
Hitchhiker's Guide, yeah.
Yeah. Deep stuff.
Good
Mhm.
stuff.
All right, that's it. That's the two things I had to throw at you, Rage.
42! I live, bitches. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's it?
That's it.
Anything else, anyone?
Go to bed.
Okay, good night, everyone. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I'm gonna hang up with you guys, and we'll talk about scheduling soon.
Sounds
Okie doke.
Good night, everyone. Thank
Good night,
you.
Good
guys.
night.
Good night.
Thanks for playing.
How do I do this? I get confused every time. Good night.
Good night.
All right, guys. Yeah. All right, so that was it. That's everything. I hope you guys had a great time. I had a blast. As a note, regarding these Fate of the Exocortex sessions, James does take feedback from you guys as viewers. So if you want to jump on our Discord and send Glasswalker Mars a message, I think you can reach him with that name on Twitter as well. Please go ahead and do so. If there's something you want to see happen in the game, some kind of weird, horrible, awful scenario that you cook up for us, I think he takes that feedback into account. So, your feedback is welcome. You can make this your game too. So let's make it happen. Thank you all very much for being here tonight. This was a blast. As a note, I will be on tomorrow at some point. Hopefully, I'll be a little bit inebriated. But I'm looking to finish Hellblade tomorrow. 2 words: monkeys everywhere. Those are the best words. Those are the best words. So guys, before I say goodbye and before I say goodnight, I want to say a couple things. You guys are awesome. That's one. There are some really great streamers in the channel right now. Misbehave is one of them. X-Girl is one of them. Let me check out the list here of people. Let's see. Dear viewer list, you are not showing up. So anyway, I don't know. I can't see my viewer list right now because it's taking forever. There are some awesome streamers in here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for hosting. Entropic J hosted us earlier, and that was awesome. I didn't really get a chance to thank him. Nordy Schlicker streams every now and then too. She does it for fun, but she's hilarious. You should check her out as well. That's right, phrasing. Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun, and I want you guys to know that I continue to love Twitch. Even though I have a day job now, I'm not going to stop streaming. We're going to continue to do this. I have not given up. I don't ever plan to give up. This is pretty great. So, I may be on less often than usual, or than I was, because of work and because of, you know, my energy level and things like that. But I will endeavor to be on as often as possible. So, I'm not giving up on you guys. You guys mean a lot to me. Thank you for everything. I'm going to take off. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay dry, unless you want to get wet. Yeah, I'm going to go now. Good night, guys. See you later.
You don't know the power of the dark side. The power of the dark side. You don't know the power of the dark side. You don't know the power of the dark side. You don't know the power of the dark